Hello, my Teaserking family. I wanted to talk a little economics, but I wanted to do it separately. So if you're looking for football, you can still ask, but it's in the other video, the bowl games, and I have posted some bowls based after my conversation and doing some research. I have updated my pro stats, so those are updated, and I'm starting to go through those picks, but I'll probably do that tonight, but not in a hurry right now. So I named this gold and silver and Bitcoin and the sports cards, and basically just a bunch of economics, how you don't really understand its economics, collectibles, basically finance and money, how that relates to economics, and then basically looking at the Roman Empire. I wanted to get into a little of that so we can compare what's happening now with what's happened then, and then get into a little of this reset in digital currency after watching a few YouTubes. So let's get into the reset / digital currency first. Please feel free to ask any questions or comments as we go through this. So the digital currency, my thought was, are we going to have to get rid of our dollars and buy digital currency? And it looks like no. It looks like they won't force us to do it. They'll probably make us, if you're in Social Security, to get into digital currency. But there's just too many people with cash that are not going to accept it. So it's just kind of out there, it's sort of like Medicare. I don't have Medicare or that kind of stuff, but it's out there. Or Social Security. I don't have Social Security, but it's out there. People can have it, but if you want to be dependent on the government, you do, but they can't force it down your throat. So that's really what this digital currency will be. This dollar will go out. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. Hello? Hello? Why do I answer these calls? It was Medicare Health Center. Before I got a call from my place where I live, and I was just curious about what they wanted. I called them. I hate when that happens. Is somebody calls you, you call them. They just say, call me. So you call them back, but you don't know what they wanted. And you say, well, I'm here. And okay. And they don't talk to you. And then, so you don't know what they called you about. You assume it's something, but again, who the hell knows? So I pay my rent. That's all I care about. So the digital, so they won't be able to, so this will go to zero, right? This is going to go to zero. That's what it does when there's no demand for it, and the value will drop because they printed too much of it. But that doesn't mean we'll be running into, oh, now I need to buy digital currency. All it'll mean is you'll need new currency. Nobody will want this. They'll come out with new ones. That's what they always do. JP Morgan and the banks, believe me, want money so they can print. That's the whole reason we're not on the, if they wanted to, just put us on the gold standard if you really want to do that. So there's no reason to go on digital currency. You just go on the gold standard if they want to not have the inflation. So be careful when the new currency comes out. What are they doing? Are they going to do with the new currency? Are they going to back it by gold or not? So if they just come out with new currency and say exchange this dollar for that dollar, it's not going to be long. If it's not backed by gold, it's just going to collapse also. because people won't like. So let's say China and Russia and Europe and those, they don't want your dollar because it's just garbage. It's not backed by anything. And what will happen is, so they'll come out with a new dollar and they'll go, "Is this backed by anything?" And if it's not, they won't want that either. So at that point, so the idea is right now mine's out of the bank. I don't know that you'll have bank runs. What will happen is people will eventually realize that the money's worthless. And it's not going to be the people, it'll be the stores. It'll be the grocery store going, I don't want money for my chicken. I want whatever for the chicken. And that's where, lo and behold, gold and silver comes into play, where gold and silver would be wanted. Now, if the government says you can't use it, from what I'm understanding, then it'll go to a black market. And in the black market, gold and silver will go through the roof. I don't think the U.S. government wants that. Again, they don't think gold and silver are anything. They don't think it's currency. Or money. They don't see the big thing for it. They're all basically Keynesians. So basically, that's what you have is this the reset keeps changing what it is. It's getting away from the dollar, but it's actually the gold and silver going from the west to the east. So now China with 40,000 tons and Russia with 20,000 tons will hold the gold. That, in a sense, is the reset and the value of the gold and silver being reset to the new currency, and all their money's coming out with a new currency. So you're Germany, and now you'll be buying, I assume, what are you going to do? A new Deutschmark, a new euro? I mean, if all the currencies are going belly up, all that happens is you have new currencies. Look at the Roman Empire. They went belly up. They still had currencies. Europe had money and then went to a euro. So they just print new money. That's what they do. So the reset's really money going from west to east, all the gold and silver. But the gold and silver will go through the roof because they'll get it off. The derivative COMEX has been broken. So they can't. The idea was that was the liquid amount of gold and silver. And it was supposed to be at what the market is, but it was always manipulated. So it's not. So that's why we're going to get the boost of the real amount. And then it's people here will want gold and silver because they'll realize that this is worthless. So I want milk. Well, I don't want this. So that's where you'll come out with silver. It won't be like an ounce of silver will buy milk. Obviously, an ounce of silver will buy more than milk, but it'll somehow relate to the new currency. And then somehow you'll, just like you do now if you have a Rolex, right? You're going to take the Rolex and get cash for it, and then take the money to buy the milk and the bread. You don't buy it with the whole ounce of silver. And it's like now silver, you got to pay let's say $28 for it. Well, if you wanted to buy a hamburger for $10, you wouldn't give them 28, you'd give them 10. And the ounce of silver is just, that's the value now, but it'll go up. So silver and gold will go up just because people will realize they need something with value, and the only out is gold and silver. Now you have your collectibles. So part two of this story. So here's a Randy Moss rookie card. You can see it's a mint 9. That's maybe worth $25, maybe 40. The 10s are worth more. That's why I got the graded cards for like this. This probably cost me $5. Maybe it's worth 30. I'm not going to get rich off of these 9s as much as I will off of the cards I showed you. Like this card, if this is a 10, although it's Barry Bonds, unfortunately. Sorry, Bobby, you didn't hit enough home runs. Then that's the difference. But these have value. But you're not going to use this to get this. You're going to use this and get paid in gold and silver. Why do you collect this? Because you want assets with your money. This is going to zero. So you try to buy things that are going to keep their assets. That's what this is. This is an asset. It has a value. Obviously, let's see. Obviously, like this Nolan Ryan card has another value, or this Roger Staubach card. Again, these were bought cheap. This is an Airman 8. It's probably worth $5. But they are assets that have it. But I'm trying to show you is a graded card versus a non-graded. This card is a 9, but it's graded. As you can see, it has a grade. Everybody knows that this card's in mint condition. Nobody knows what condition this is. It looks gem mint. It looks like a 10. But until it's got the grade on it, you don't know. So you're not going to get the same value that you would if it was a 10 versus if it's graded. So once it's graded, then there's no risk to the buyer that it maybe looks like a 10, but maybe it's not. And that's the risk that you face. So if you go get it graded and it's a 10, now it's worth a whole lot more. But you're buying it to get out of dollars. You're replacing dollars today for assets that have a value, not necessarily tomorrow, but part of it is tomorrow. That's what savings is. Savings is taking your money saying, well, they're going to give me interest rates. This is what it was initially. They'll give me 3% and my money will grow, because that's a good idea, to take my money that I make and let it grow, and then it's worth more. So that's the idea of the money, putting it in a savings account or a checking account or something, was so the money would grow. Now we grow it we put our money in the baseball cards, so we put it here, or in the football, or Mickey Mantle, as I say, or Tom Brady. So you move your money into there because you're thinking that those values are going to go up. So therefore your money is going to go up, and I'd rather have that than this, where I know, look how the system's set up. I do save it. I make a few $100s saving it, which I then have to pay taxes on it. I don't have to pay taxes on this, right? If I go sell it for $500, there's no capital gains tax because nobody knows what I paid for it. I just said, well, I took a loss on it. Prove what I did. I bought this 20 years ago, 30 years. I bought it in 1990s. Actually, it's a 1998. I bought it in the year 2000. What did I pay for it? I don't remember. Did I make money on it? I don't know. So therefore, I can't pay tax on it. So, but you're hoping it goes up in value. That's the idea of investing. That's why you invest in sports cards or jewelry or paintings or gold and silver. Gold and silver give you the kicker of it's money. So when the shit hits the fan, am I going to be able to walk into a restaurant with this card or with gold or silver? Obviously, once they realize it's gold, are going to give me a fair value for it. And this will be in much more demand than this card. Now, depending on the player, if it's, Joe Montana or Jerry Rice or things like that, that will also carry a big value on it, and people might give you that. So if we're now with this reset Bitcoin or digital dollar, the other guy said, oh, we're going to go broke and we're going to have our money worthless, and oh my God, we're going to need food and prices are going to go up. I don't believe that. After thinking about that, I don't see how that's possible. Keep in mind, what is a business? So we have Target, and Target's business is to sell this. Do they want this on their shelf, or do they want to sell it and make money on it? Well, they obviously want to sell it and make money. So therefore, if they put a big price tag on it and it doesn't sell, they got to lower the price. They're going to do that with meats and, steaks and tuna fish and Oreo cookies and all this stuff. They're not going to be able to just have a Target, a store full of food that just sits there and nobody buys it because it's too expensive. That's bullshit. People telling you that don't have a clue what a market is and how economics works. Um, you can't sell it for that, but you're in business to sell your inventory. So I don't see, oh, we're all going to starve. I've been thinking about that and I'm going, why would we all starve? Why would they make the prices so high that nobody can afford them? It doesn't make sense. Oh, well, it's Bill Gates and it's all these idiots. Oh, does Bill Gates sell his Microsoft, whatever, to get Excel for $1,000? No, he wouldn't sell any. So he needs to find the market. And therefore, you always are finding the market. So why it doesn't make sense you're going to sell things more expensive than the market. It just doesn't make sense. The gold and silver come into play as people wanting to sell their inventory can't get the dollars will be worthless. But I don't know that that's going to happen. I mean, I think they'll just kind of quietly replace it. You know what? We're going to have the new dollars. And that way the grocery stores say, okay, we won't take this dollar. We're going to take the new dollar. And I think you walk to your bank with 10 grand and you go, give me the new currency. I don't see how that won't happen. After a while, nobody will want the old currency, but I don't know that there's a light switch that goes, oh, okay, I want the currency up tomorrow. You know what? I don't want the currency. And everybody who has it's screwed. I don't see what that benefits. I see you can change currency, but I'm not sure I see that, oh, well, this is now zero and you can't switch it for the new currency. How am I going to get the new currency? Oh, I got to sell my car to get the new. Well, how am I going to get to work? I need my car to get to drive to work, to drive to the grocery store. How do I do all this? It just, that's what doesn't make sense. So I don't see that happening. Anyway, so why do I buy the cards, the gold, silver? Well, because I don't want my money in this. I want it out of this into something that's an asset. Is it this? Is it gold and silver? Is it Bitcoin? What is it? So the digital currency, I don't see that we're going to be forced to take it. The new dollar, as you ruin this one, to get everybody into the new dollar, I honestly don't see how we can't trade that in. I'd be very surprised if we couldn't trade in our old currency for our new one, that it's just going to be immediate. You wake up Tuesday morning, okay, your dollars are no good. We've got these new dollars. Well, how do I get the new dollars? You're not going to let me switch? Or maybe it's a limit or a percentage. So I can see maybe 20 grand, or I can see you get 70 cents on the dollar. I don't see where you just get shut out. So that makes you buy more and more gold, silver, which is not going anywhere. That will be accepted by everybody, gold and silver. People that don't like it or don't understand it are going to start understanding it. So that's how I see that. So the reset, it's kind of the dollar, the gold going to the east, and you're resetting the gold and silver prices. You're kind of resetting the currency. So if you have euros or yen or dollars or rubles, everything kind of gets reset. But again, there's too much money out there to say, okay, all that money is worthless. Now we have this new money. Well, how are we going to get the new money? What if you're retired? What if you need digital currency? Well, okay, maybe that's what you get. I don't know. But I don't think you need to get the digital currency. That'll be like Bitcoin. I don't have any Bitcoin. I don't need Bitcoin, but I could get it if I wanted to, which I don't want. Um, so I just wanted to bring them up, the digital currency, where I don't think that, I'm not sure that it's going to zero out credit cards and mortgages like that one guy said. So don't hold me to that. I'm not sure if that's reality or not. I think they'll switch currencies, but I think if you owe 20 grand to Chase, you're still going to owe 20 grand. I don't know how you get away from paying them. They're not going to want to lose all that money. So that'll be a very curious thing. We'll learn more about that. I think this happens in the springtime, I guess. I don't know. When does gold start getting revalued? Again, that's pretty quickly. This BRICS countries is the catalyst moving that over. So I want to talk a little bit on the Roman Empire. So my economic history goes like this. The Roman Empire was from 250 BC to 500 AD. Then the feudal medieval from 500 AD to 1500 AD. And then the mercantilist era, which is 1500 to 1821. And I'll explain these. Then the classical liberal era from 1821 to 1914. Only here liberal's good, not bad. Then the end of regulation from 1914 to 1965. And then the era of entitlement, which is 1965 to today. So that's what we've had since Christ, basically 250 BC, before Christ. This is dated 6993. That's when I had this class. The Roman Empire is basically broken into two periods, the Republic and the Empire. Sort of like us, we were a republic from 250 to 68 BC, meaning what? Republic is low tax, free trade, leaders were elected, a republic, free enterprise. Rome grew very quickly. So this is the story of the center of all good economies that grow. They all have the same thing, and yet we get away from all of them. It's insanity, really. Rome grew very quickly, was the center of law, finance, and everything. They had a constitution. We have a constitution. Little interference from the government. We had little interference from the government. Not anymore. You can only be elected to one office one time. Isn't that refreshing, Joe Biden? One time is all you can serve. There were two presidents or councils, one every other month. There's no corruption. You're only serving for a month, and then the new guy comes in. It's beautiful. Afraid to give one man too much power. Julius Caesar was one man that got too much power. There was Augustus Caesar, no wars. Then there's Nero. We could substitute Joe Biden into that and say very corrupt, wanted to change wood to marble. He wanted to build a monument to himself. Biden hasn't gotten that far yet, but he will. He burnt the town out. He blamed the Christians. He debased the currency. After Nero, every other empire inflated the money. All the politicians bought votes. Rome became a welfare state. Does that sound familiar with what's going on here? It should, because that's exactly what's going on here. Diocletian, the empire wanted to stop inflation, divided the empire, inflated, put in wage and price controls. They destroyed the Roman economy. So fortunately, we don't have wage and price controls. The problem with wage and price controls is if I tell you that you got to sell this for $5, but it costs you 20, are you going to make it? No, because you don't make any money with it, because it's going to cost you more than what you can sell it for. And as we know from economics, you have to get your cost and then add your markup 20%, and that's what you sell it for. And if you can't make the 20%, you stop, you get out of business. And that's what's happening now. Their costs have gone up. They can't make their profit, and that's why they'll go out. This destroyed the Roman economy. Constantine the Great, he moved the capital Constantinople, which is Turkey, usually gold currency, solidus, in the East. He took them off the price controls, not the West. The East fell in 476 AD. Big government kills the economy. Empire is the welfare state. So we want the republic. That's what we have. That's what we want. But the people in charge get greedy, get corrupt. They buy the votes. They want the power, and the power is what corrupts. Um, then, so that's how Rome ends, right? Rome ends by the welfare state. Big government kills the economy. Anytime you take the market out of the economy, you kill it. And that's what they're doing here to a point, although the economy is very big, but it can still crumble. If the Roman Empire can crumble, the U.S., you can't say, well, we can't crumble. Well, oh yeah, we can. So then it was a nightmare. From 580 to 1500 was feudal systems or farms, self-sufficient farming. So we went from this big country, Rome, the Roman Empire, to farms, self-sufficient farms. When Rome fell, people went back to the farms. Serfs worked for the manors. Small farms to survive, no roads, market system. Everybody lived in a castle. Life expectancy was 26. So what the hell did they do? They destroyed everything. Self-sufficient farms where people living. Monasteries changed the feudal system. The first was Monk Benedict. They built civilization in the West. Monasteries live in common, start a division of labor. So now this all goes back to Adam Smith. But this is before Adam Smith, and then Adam Smith takes it from here. Scientific farming, food production goes up, food prices drop. Started fertilization. Monks had leisure time to think, research and development. Preserved classical learning, books, reading and writing. Latin, language of trade, key language. Started trading and commerce. Started modern science in universities. Started machinery. Most important was the clock and the windmills. Organization, efficiency, machinery, nature to do the work. Markets were fair. The town merchants bought and sell. So you had a market again. You had people bringing food and whatever they used to pay for it. No social problems. Worked for housing. Monasteries broke down the feudal system. Limit wars. Only soldiers could fight. Crusades found out that standard of living was better with monks. So the monks took care of everybody and gave you a better standard of living, and there was no war, and probably took care of the currency or however would have been needed to stabilize the civilization. Golden capitalism starts in northern Italy, in Venice, beginning of modern production. The Industrial Revolution started. Production lines, a ship a day. Venetians, major nautical power, major center. Belgium, the other center, made clothing, Industrial Revolution. Monasteries was a way out of feudalism. Through the friars made the cities. What is a city? It's a wall for protection. It's worship, a place of worship. It's a marketplace where you can trade and exchange. So we always need trade and exchange. We always want a certain shirt or eat or shoes or whatever. So there's guys that make it and they get paid for it. And then we can wear it. And then we go to work and they farm the land and then started getting into, making ships and making clothing. So you went and worked there. I'll go work at the clothing place. I'll make blue polo shirts and I start getting paid and then I can go buy food. And that's how a market works. And it's very, very efficient. Middle class started developing industries. So we know what a city is. It's a wall, a worship, and a marketplace. So it's protection. It's a place to worship and trade and exchange. So you're trading goods and services for goods and services. The mercantilist era was from 1500 to 1821. Major changes after 1500, discovery of the New World. Catholics versus Protestants, rise of nationalism, more than one Europe. So there was now England, France, and Germany came after 1500. Before it was just fields. Reformation, rise of the nation state. So as we just said, so France is a state. That's a nation where people would live. And that's why they all speak French there and German there and English there. Different people. Ottoman Empire takes over the fall of Constantinople in 1453. Trade routes died, close off trade. Columbus goes to New World. Why do you think Columbus went to the New World in 1492? The new system, nation states, and Columbus went looking for gold. Even back then, they knew gold was the key. The Romans knew gold was the key. If they wouldn't have inflated the gold, it would have been fine. Now, what happened to all the gold the Romans had? Or did they not have that much? That's not determined. But here's Columbus going to the New World to look for gold because they knew gold was money. And Columbus, go find us gold. He was Spanish, and that's where he did. Then era of mercantilism. Premise, supply of money determines the prosperity of the country. The more money, the better off you are. So like here, we're rich in the U.S., although we have all this debt, we don't think that we're going to have too much. We don't think we can have too much debt, which obviously you can. We don't think we can print too much money and fuck that up, but we're doing a good job doing that. So we're doing everything we shouldn't be doing. We didn't learn from the Romans. I don't know why. It's pretty obvious what happened. Gold, and then I got king. Favorable balance of trade. You trade for gold, export more than you import. Economic self-sufficiency. You can trade with neighbors. So now you get free trade into it. One country has furs, one country has fish. I'll trade you a fur for a fish. They want the fur. You need the fish. So it's free trade. It's good. It's got to be free trade, and it's got to be something that you want, right? So what are you trading? Right now, the U.S. trades dollars for goods from China. But if China don't want the dollars because they got all this gold, what are you gonna give China for all the goods that you want? You're not gonna be able to give them anything. They're not gonna want it, right? That's the problem going on now. China, Russia, Europe, sitting and going, but we don't want your dollars because they're not worth anything. So we want gold from you. You don't have gold. So now we're gonna have to get gold. So this is how the story gets juicy. Now we got to go to China and Russia and say, we want to buy our gold back, or your gold, and you got 40,000 tons of it. We need to buy it back. Okay, it's not going to be 1,800. It's going to be 50,000 an ounce. So we'll print dollar. We'll come out with new dollars, print it to pay it if they take it, but they might not take it. They might say, no, this is still bullshit. You don't have it backed by gold. Well, we don't have any gold. Well, now you're fucked, aren't you? So that's where we're at. And that's why the professor gets a little nervous. Resources make you self-sufficient. Conquest the new world gives you gold. So you're trying to be self-sufficient. All countries build a self-sufficient empire. Spain, Russia, France. You don't want the euro, this whole block of countries. You want to be self-sufficient on your own. Raw materials. So you have an empire, raw materials, mother country. One country had raw materials, and then one country made them into end items. So you have lumber, and then you made a boat with it. So the one country needs the lumber to make the boat. The other country buys it, takes it, makes a boat. And then everybody wins at the end because everybody's getting paid off. Russia exported furs. French exported furs. Spain, gold and spices. England, wood. So all these people needed each other, and it would benefit each other to trade. Low wages to be competitive. Slavery. University of Salamanca, which was in Spain, beginning of economics, started mercantilism. Now, mercantilism is good. 1507, the Pope condemns slavery. So you had slavery. So everybody bitches about the U.S. with slavery and with the cotton and the Civil War. Well, the Pope condemned slavery in 1507. It's just cheap labor. And you probably fed them and clothed them, and all that meant was you didn't pay them dollars. So he said, "I'll tell you what, I'll feed you, I'll give you clothes, and you live here, and then you do this work because I need this work done." That's all slavery was. It wasn't whipping them and everything. And I'm sure if they wanted to escape, they could, but where are they going to go? I mean, they don't have money to buy things and they don't have a place to stay. So it was a very good trade that the slave got to eat and had a place to live and did his work, sort of like what we do now. I'm in finance. I am a slave. Somebody pays me and then I have a place I live but I need the money, so I go work for the XYZ company. That's why the more I get, the more gold and silver I buy, and then that's going to give me my freedom. That's kind of what happens. The Dutch started slavery, basis of the classic liberal area. So the Dutch, with their shipping, needed people to make the boats, so that's where slavery began. Definitions, periods of time, who was number one. We think of it in terms of football: Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. So let's look at it. 1500 to 1600, Spain becomes the number one power in the world. University of Salamanca. Do the Indians have souls? I don't know what this is. Yes. Thus, they outlaw slavery. So University of Salamanca is good. No slavery. The church treats the Indians well. The Spanish government treats the Indians poorly. So the Indians don't want to be with the Spanish. They'd rather be with the church. Spanish missionaries teach the Indians reading and writing. Well, they didn't treat them that poorly. Monks were the professors, so I guess I'd be a monk back then. And the universities, they were opposed to mercantilism. Everybody has a right to a private property, which we used to have here. Free trade, no slavery, written constitution, which is the rule of law, no inflation, money is wealth and it's gold, so there is no inflation, low taxes, which would interfere with the right of private property, and little government. Funny how that keeps coming back and back and back. It just, everywhere we're talking, it's the same thing, right? It's always the same thing. You have rules, you don't have inflation, you have low taxes, you have little government. In other words, it's all the invisible hand. It's letting me and you do our business. We don't need the government in, but we do have laws. So if one of us fucks the other one over by giving us fake money, we can go to the court and the law will protect us. So as long as you have the law protecting, it kind of rules out the shadiness, because then you can't do it. The problem is when the law is corrupt, and when the law is corrupt and says, oh, no, yeah, you gave him counterfeit money, but that's okay, which is what you have now. So once you get bad government and bad laws, you're fucked. And that's what we have now. The mercantilism is state control. Well, wait a minute. We got communism way back here. Inflation kills Spain. Here we go again. Inflation killed Rome. Now inflation kills Spain. So Spain, you're number one from 1500 to 1600. Why do you inflate? Why do you go after the power? You've got it. You're number one. What are you doing? But it happens everywhere. Why can you be number one and you can't keep it? It's crazy. So do you recommend buying silver or gold right now, Professor? Both. What you got to put in your mind is you're getting out of dollars. As this loses its value, you just don't want to be in it. So if you have 100 grand, I don't want to be in this. Now, the two different purposes of silver and gold. Silver, is smaller purchases, right? So let's say it's worth $2,000 an ounce. So that's going to buy you smaller goods, where gold will be worth 50,000 an ounce. So that's going to buy you a Ferrari, and that's going to buy you a house. That's going to buy you bigger stuff, maybe an island, maybe, figure mostly houses and cars, and gives you extra money. Where the silver, so if you have 20 ounces of silver and silver goes up, you could theoretically buy more gold with it, right? So that's kind of the intent. But silver's probably our food, our rent, our utilities, and you're going to just exchange it, right? Whatever the currency is going to be, you're going to take the ounce of silver and go to the coin store or go on eBay or whatever is going to be there. See, I can't understand that it's going to be this drastic change because we're set up as a market economy. So therefore, why would the gold store go just disappear? Why would the grocery store? Why would Kroger's disappear? Target, Myers. Why would Bell Tire disappear? Why would the gas stations disappear? It doesn't make any sense that they would just stop doing business. They make too much money. And what are they going to do? And how are we going to survive? And why would they just shut down? So I'm not buying that. They'll just switch currencies. So that's what normally happens. Spain was the number one power. Spain still exists. It didn't go night. Russia just exchanged their ruble number 7 for ruble number 8. The difference is this ruble is backed by gold, and China's coming out with their yuan backed by gold. They still have a yuan. So people will keep using it because people are in the dark, but eventually you'll just switch currencies and target, you'll still go get your, mobile and fill up your car with gas. Where's that going? It's just new currencies is really what's happening. The digital dollar is going to be, do you want it or not? But I can't see anybody wanting it. What's the point of it? It's like Bitcoin. What's the point? Well, the point's to get rich. Oh, well, are you going to get rich with the new dollar? No. Well, they're coming out, but they don't tell you what it is. And it's coming out in every country, but it doesn't mean anything. You have the euros in all the European countries. It doesn't mean anything. I was in Lisbon. I used euros. I could have used, if they would have accepted dollars, I had dollars. Or I used my debit card or my credit card. So I used my credit card a lot. Doesn't mean anything. So that's what we're having. So you're buying silver, you're buying it because at the end of the day, the dollar is going to go to zero, because that's what happens when you print the dollar out of existence. When you print it too much, it's basically nobody wants it, right? And that's really what's going to happen. Nobody's going to want it. I don't know. I think it'll take a while in the US to go to Target and walk in with your debit card and they're going to say, no, we don't want it. I think that's probably a long way away, but that doesn't mean gold and silver is a long way away. Gold and silver is international. China and Russia and India, they want the gold. So it's not that, but I just don't see where Target, and then I just don't see how you won't be able to switch for the new currency. I mean, so what's Target going to, you're going to just fuck Target over? You're going to fuck Kroger's over and Speedway and all these businesses. You're just going to fuck them over? I don't think so. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You'll have to convert it over. But again, the US is so big that I can't imagine the US just makes it go to zero without giving you, okay, everybody, we're coming out. Like, why wouldn't they just come out with new currency and exchange it and say, okay, this isn't printed as much, and so if you give me $100, I'll give you 50 of the new currency. That's what I can see happening more than anything else, because you got 350 million people here who are going to strangle you if you just take their money and say, sorry. So I don't buy that. I don't know if they'll run the digital currency. I don't buy that for a minute. I'm not going to run the digital currency. And then that leaves you with the gold and the silver, which, and then I'm hearing from my friends on the YouTubes where what'll happen is it'll black market. So if you do something to gold and silver, you can't own it or you can't use it. it'll go wild in black market because people will want it at that point. And then, my advice is go to the poker room where all the black market would take place and find, hey, I got a half ounce of gold. Oh, I'll give you 35,000 for it. And I think that's what will happen. The question is going to be when you do want to sell it is what currency are you going to take it? Because you're going to want the good currency, not the bad. So if the currency hasn't switched yet, I would say hold on to it because you're not going to want this currency. You're going to want the new currency. So now I've got the new dollar, or I don't know if it's digital currency or whatever the fuck they're doing. And that's the dollar that I want to exchange for my gold. But you're not selling too much gold. You're selling a little bit. The silver is going to be used to food, and your gas and all that stuff is going to be the silver. And that's why you just, like I tell Bobby and Nick, it's like just keep buying it. Don't stop buying it. Even if you buy 10 ounces at a time or 20 ounces at a time, or you think you have enough with the 100 ounces, just keep buying it. You will be very happy that you just keep buying it because it will. I mean, two reasons. One, it'll be what'll save you. And the second thing, it will go up in value, especially if it goes black market. Well, I don't necessarily care if it goes black market, as long as it gets to the real thing, sort of like, like this card is worth $100 on eBay. That's all I care about is it gets to the real value of the card. That's what I'm trying to get to, and that's not what we have right now. So if this card says it's worth $2, but wait a minute, on eBay it's worth $100, then I don't really have the true value of the card if Comex says $2 when it's $100 card. This one's probably maybe $20 because it's a PSA 9, but it was just, believe me, I didn't pay more than $5 for it. But it was a Randy Moss rookie card, so I paid $5 because it was a mint 9. Where's the best place to buy gold and silver? Well, the coin shops. The coin shops, you don't pay tax on it, so that's what you do. I've shown you my coin shop, but you're getting to the party at the end. So here's where I go. It's a couple miles from my house. There's the number. I would call it, tell them you know me, tell them you want to buy. They're going to want a check. They've gotten fucked with credit cards and debit cards. They know me. So when I was in Alabama, they did take some orders from me, but basically they want cash, and they're very curious because some guy bought like 5 ounces from them with the credit card, and then they disputed the transaction, and the credit card awarded it to the guy who bought it. So he didn't have to pay for it. And the coin shop was out 10 grand, it was out the coins, and they didn't get the money. So now they will not take credit or debit cards. So be careful. But there should be credit and debit. There should be coin stores around, but you don't ever want to pay tax because you're buying money, and it's not a taxable item. So what you're doing is trading. So when I went and bought this, right, what was this is, I spent $2,200 on it, right? So I bought this for $2,200. I didn't spend anything. All I did was switch my money from fiat currency into gold and silver. That's all I did. So there was not, I didn't spend anything really. It was a trade. I traded money for that. I traded money for this. This is a trade. Then I trade it back. So I can go sell it on eBay and I can get money back for it. So that's why, because it's an asset, it's going to hold its value or go up, because this asset's being printed and losing value, where gold and silver you can't print and you can't lose its value. Therefore, they will go up. That's the beauty of it, but that's not even the intent's to get out of the paper, right? That's why we're doing this, to get out of the paper. because that's losing it's like a car, right? It's being depreciated to zero. So before it gets too low, I then sell the car and get a new car or get a bicycle or something. I get out of the car before it goes to zero, and then I can sell the car and get money back for it. So you're using money to buy things, and then you turn around and sell it and get money back. And if you're lucky enough, you what you bought's worth more than what you paid for it in the first thing. And that's what the investments are. And people normally do that with a business where they think, I'm going to sell Canadian clubs. So I got to build a plant and I got to make and buy all this glass and buy labels and design the bottle and put it in big vats and get potatoes and corn and ferment all this stuff and put in my special ingredients so it tastes good. And then I'm going to sell it. I hope I'm going to make money on it. I hope I can make enough cases, bottles, and then sell it at profit. So I'll figure out what does it cost for each bottle, and then what do I need to sell it for, and then I make money. So I got to go through all that to make money. So when I lost my last job, so all digital currencies are garbage. Well, not if they're backed by gold, but if they're backed by gold, why would they make them digital? So the key to currency is to understand if they're backed by anything. If this is not backed by anything, so this is garbage. When they come out with the new dollar, is it going to be backed by anything? See, in 71, when Nixon took us off the gold market, 1944, Bretton Woods, the whole promise was we'll stay on the gold system. So all the countries said, oh, this is perfect. We want money pegged by gold. And then when we started printing, because LBJ said, yeah, it'd be great to just give people money. And Social Security was there, and they're like, oh, well, just, we won't tie it to anybody. We'll just have this fund, and then we'll start taking from the fund and give people money for retirement because we fucked up the first time. And that's really what it is. So you have to find out what is the currency backed by. And if it's backed by gold, then you feel comfortable. If it's not, you take it and buy gold with it. And gold is the key. That's the dragon, right? If you're on the dragon side, you're strong and invincible. If the dragon's coming at you, you're fucked. So you've got to be on the side that's going to protect you, and that's going to be the gold is going to protect you, not the Bitcoin and certainly not the dollars. You can get some of this stuff. You can get these collectibles. These are assets, but everybody's going to want gold more than they're going to want Barry Bonds or Randy Moss, even Mickey Mantle, because can you take Mickey Mantle to the grocery store and use it? But I can go to the silver, go to the bank, cash the silver in, or go to the coin store, cash it, and then go to the grocery store and use it. And then what they've done with debit cards is just made it easier so you don't have to carry money with you. It's in your account, and the debit card's attached to your account, and you pay with the debit card instead of bringing money in. That's okay. The credit card, the problem is, it's a loan, right? So you go in, you pay $100 with the credit card, you're kind of fine. I mean, you got to pay that back. The debit card's protection. You can only use it if you have money. So if I don't have money, I can't use it. So the debit card's more protectionary, where that's what you're going to use. So you're not walking around with a bunch of dollars or gold or silver or a Rolex. Imagine going in with a Rolex going, well, I'm going to buy steaks and lamb chops. I'm going to use my Rolex. Okay, I'm at the counter. Okay, here's the Rolex. It's worth $80,000, and I've spent $200 on food. How do we do this? And that's why Rolex is not money. It's got to be fungible. It's got to be tradable. So I can walk in with the debit card, or if I had $500 in my pocket, what's the bill? $100. Here's a $100 bill. I just paid for my steaks. But you can't do that with this, but it does have a value. You just simply need to to cash it in to get the money to go buy the groceries or gold or silver. And gold and silver will go way up in value because the demand for that's so incredibly large. That's what's causing this. So mercantilism is state control. Inflation kills Spain. Inflation killed Rome. Inflation's killing the U.S. Inflation in Japan today. Inflation kills the euro today. Inflation killed the UK. The list goes on and on. Venezuela, Brazil, every country that's ever just printed money, inflation's killed it. In other words, you're printing it. So think of it as food. It's like eating chocolate ice cream. Eventually, if you just keep eating chocolate ice cream and keep eating, it's going to kill you. So that's basically what you have, only in money. So you keep printing it, it's going to kill you. Holland then becomes the number one power, the Dutch, Amsterdam, from 1600 to 1650. So Spain leads off 1500 to 16, inflates, fucks up. Here comes Amsterdam and the Dutch because they got shipping. Number one, from 1600 to 1650, the world's shippers, they hauled freight. So that's where they made all their money. The demand for boats to ship their goods so they can trade it for money was huge. Natural law school, Amsterdam, the World Financial Center. And if you go there, you can still see it. New York, Dutch, East and West Indies, Cape of Good Hope. So the Dutch are shipping things around. And so they're number one from 16 to 1650. And here come the French, 1650 to 1789. Notice the date, 1789. Notice the date we came in, 1776. So it's pretty much there. French is the cultural center, French language of the world, computers, world's largest population, science number one. So now you've gone from the Spanish to the Amsterdams to French. French was physiocrats. They adopted the ideas of the school of Salamanca. Again, here comes Adam Smith. This is a good thing, low taxes, good money, protection, da, 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 da. And that's what France does. And look what happens. They're number one. It's like when I talk football and I say you need balance. You got to have a good defense. You got to have a good coach. And the quarterback doesn't have to be Tom Brady, but he's got to be somebody who's good, which is why I bitch at the quarterbacks when you got Lamar Jackson, because he's killing you. You're not going off of that. But that's what I understand in football, which is why we're so successful, is that's what you need, is the ideas of Adam Smith, and you just tweak them into football. Natural resource wars to become financially independent. Isn't that a wonderful thing? That's what gold and silver are. It's getting us financially independent. We won't need to work. If you get enough of it, it'll be worth a ton. So what do you need to work for a little bit when you'll have all this money? 1776, here comes the U.S., fought England over mercantilism. We just said how bad it is. U.S. argues Salamanca, natural law, physiocrats, all these ideas crystallize in the U.S. today. So it shows where the U.S. comes from. Mercantilism is socialism, communism. It's what the Keynesians are now. So we fought our ass to get out over mercantilism to now we're back into mercantilism. What the fuck? We know it's not good, but yet they do it anyway because they want power. So they destroy everything for the power of mercantilism. It doesn't make any fucking sense. There was 4 revolutions. The first one was the Industrial Revolution, the steam engine, mobile power, coal and wood gains power. Now we can go faster than a horse and trains, cheap transportation, mass production, mass markets, fast, efficient. Now water, we can travel the ocean quickly, fast trade. Steam engine was by Watt and not J.J. Watt. Age increases from 24 up. So now we our way of living, we now are going to live past 24. We're going to live much longer. So the quality of life's better. The everything is great because of this. July 4th, 1776 is the American Revolution. So the first one was industrial. This is the American. U.S. independence, political revolution, government, local and limited. King is not the law. Everybody wants freedom. Other countries. So where the British were telling us what to do, we told them to go fuck themselves. We want to make our own decisions, which is why I don't understand the whole Euro system that they're all now together. That's the Germans taking control. If I'm France, why do I want somebody else doing it? Are there any countries still on the gold standard? Unfortunately, not. Profit. That's, if you find one, that's where I'm going to go live. But right now, it'll be my country. Will be on the gold system, but they're not. They end up where the power, like, why isn't, like, I think that's where China and Russia are aiming with the dollar backed by gold. So China, what did they do? They see the price of gold is very cheap, 1,800 an ounce. They go ahead and buy it and buy it and buy it. And they're buying enough to go on the gold standard because they realize that's the key, everything I just read. So I look for China and Russia to go gold system or gold standard. This whole BRICS country, they're smart enough. Now the question is, can you trust China and Russia? But that's kind of what they want to do, is go back on the gold standard. And when I hear it here, and some guy says, oh, we'll never go back to the gold standard, you're just like, you're a fucking idiot. You would not have inflation. You wouldn't have racism. You'd never have a war. It would be peace and prosperity, but you wouldn't need government. You would just need good law, clean laws, and a little military to protect the gold. But that's all you need. You don't need any of this other crap. You don't need all this communism where the government tells you what to do. You wouldn't need it. Just give me my gold. Get out of my face. Goodbye. Step 3, Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations. Smith takes the ideas from Salamanca and creates a system. He takes on a mercantilism. Money is a source of wealth. He says production is the source of wealth. So I get a master's degree, that increases my wealth because I have a bigger skill set. You maybe you're an engineer, you make cars, maybe you're a doctor, you heal people. The higher your skill set, the more productive, the more money you make, the better your quality of life. More efficient the division of labor, the more productive the people will be. That's what I just discussed, was the division of labor. You got an engineer, and I'm in finance and economics, and I do football and poker, and there's a doctor, there's a lawyer. That's all what division of labor is. Maybe you're a painter, maybe you build houses. That's all division of labor. And that's the key. And the better your division of labor, the more money you make, the more valuable you are. That's what the whole point is to increase your skill set, which increases. That's what I told my kids when they graduate. I says, I don't care what you get your degree in. You better have a high skill set. That's what you need to go after, is your skill set. So then we get to Adam Smith, division of labor and productivity. The doctrine of the invisible hand. People should be free to make money by producing what the people want based on the demand. The Keynesians have a hard time believing and understanding that. I was reading something earlier today where the Keynesians are blaming the Austrians for the Great Depression in 1929, saying it was demand driven, not supply driven, or whatever it is. And the Keynesians are blaming the Austrians for the Depression. I read it. I almost fell off my chair. It's like, what the fuck are they talking? See, and here's what the communists and the Keynesians do. They say it, but they can't back it up. They can't prove that's what happened. They'll just say it, and then people just believe it and go, oh, that's why we don't want capitalists. We don't want Austrian economics because, look, it caused the Depression. No, it didn't, but they won't prove it didn't. And then we got to go prove it didn't. And then they'll just blame something else on it anyway. And that's really the frustrating part about Keynesians and socialists and communists. They're good at pointing. You'll make a point, they'll off it with another point, then they won't prove the point, and then just walk away going, see, we proved something else over here. And it's like, well, we believe the sky is blue. Well, I don't believe the sky is blue. I'm a Keynesian. I believe the sky is green. And it is because I say it is. And I can't prove it. So I'm just going to, that's it. The sky is green. And they walk away, and we're sitting there going, but the sky's blue. And we got to prove it's blue because they say it's green, and just automatically go with it. So that's the problem with the socialist and having an argument. Why I don't talk to most of my family, because they're all a bunch of idiots who just don't get it. And it's extremely difficult for somebody of my intellect to talk to them, to sit there most of the day trying to prove I'm right. And I'm like, no, buy gold. If I have to prove, if you can't take my word for it and I tell you to buy gold, and you don't just buy gold. Now, you can ask me a question or two on it, and I'm going to tell you it's because of inflation, and I break inflation down for you. And if you still don't get it, there's guys at the club now I won't talk to. I go, did you buy gold yet? No. Okay, fuck you. I don't have anything else to say to you because you don't want to listen to me. You don't want to, you disrespect me. And therefore, I don't really have anything. I don't know what else to say to you. I'm telling you to buy gold. You don't believe me? Fine. I don't see any way I can communicate with you about anything else. I don't care how your wife's doing, how the kids are doing, or if you bought a new car or you got a new TV. I don't care, because you disrespect me because you don't want to believe what I'm telling you, and I got to prove it to you. Even after I prove it to you, you don't believe me. Well, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to keep proving it. So therefore, I just don't even talk to them anymore. I know who they are, and I just walk away going, you guys are a bunch of morons. So let's go. So people should be free to make money by producing what the people want, the demand, by self-interest. As supply goes up, so now there's 1,000 bottles of this, prices drop because there's a lot out there. Are there more people? Did you make supply go over demand? So if there's 1,000 bottles, but there's only 800 people, your price has to drop because you're going to have stuff that's left over that people aren't going to buy. The best way to spread wealth, productivity increases, prices drop. So as you've started with this, and then there's competition, Crown Royal and the others. But as you make this better and tastier, your price drops because now you can do it faster, cheaper, so you can sell it cheaper because you want to make more sales because it's better, so you can sell it cheaper and still make the same amount because you're going to get people who want to buy it. So as productivity goes up, prices drop. It's the best for the public. So everything Adam Smith thinks and everything I tell you is what's best for the public. What the government wants is what's best for their power. We don't give a fuck about their power. We want what's best for us. Best for the public to promote the common good. That's the whole thing of Adam Smith. And it's called the economy is automatic. So if we just get out of the way and let it happen, they'll make the club, the whiskey, they'll make the food, they'll have avocados, they'll have chocolates, and it'll all find its price. And people will bid it in auctions, and everything at the grocery store is an auction. Everything in the stock market's an auction. Do I want to buy Microsoft or Google? Do I want to buy Amazon or Coca-Cola? It's all an auction. You can buy whatever you want. But you're not going to make money on all of them, and they're not all going to go up because some people will run into Coca-Cola now because interest rates are high and inflation's high, and I'm not going to buy a car now. So if I'm in GM, Ford, or Mercedes, I get the hell out because their sales are going to drop because their costs went up too much. That's my other thesis that we talked about with the trade cycle. Laissez-faire, leave it alone. Keep government out of the way. Prices will drop. The standard of living will go up. Free trade. This is critical. So People that make fun of laissez-faire or the invisible hand, I immediately walk away from and never talk to again. That really pisses me off because that's the whole key to freedom in life and having a good life and enjoying are those two concepts, the invisible hand, which is it's just me and you. And imagine you had to go to the government to ask me a question, Prophet. Well, I want to ask the professor a question. Well, I got to go out here to ask it to come back. I mean, that's ridiculous. Free trade's critical. You cannot charge. In other words, I want to sell, a fur, and I'm going to sell you wood, and you're going to make a ship, and you're going to pay me for it. So that's all free. You don't charge a tariff or a tax. That is really what happened in 1929, which caused the Great Depression, was a tariff act. We put a tariff on Smoot Hawley, put a tariff out, which raised taxes, which raised prices. That was the beginning of the Great Depression, was a tariff act. Had nothing to do with Austrian economics, and it pisses me off. Revolution number 4 was the Communist Revolution, 1776 to 1989-90 in Bavaria. 5176. Isaac Weishaupt, he systemized things. Plato, so Plato's a communist, and private property, no family influence, no religion or God, no monarchy. This is what the communists believe. So the communists came out with pornography because they wanted you to cheat on your wife. So there'd be no family and no religion. It's kind of like that. And you won't have a leader. You don't have the monarch. And you would have the end of private property. You want the government to be the leader and the influence and the monarchy. The system was like Amway. The KGB and the CIA used this system, this is communist. The person on top controls the person on the bottom. They don't know the purpose of the system. They only know to tell you what to do. So somebody up top's telling you to do this. If you question it and go, why are we doing this? He can't give you an answer because he doesn't know. He only knows I'm on top and this is what you're supposed to do. And that it's a system where nobody knows what it is, which was why I called it Amway. Because if you ever be in an Amway meeting, they don't tell you anything. Well, you bring in 3 people and they go sell goods and then you make money. Well, what the fuck is that? How do you make money? Well, you make money because when you sell goods, I get part of it. Well, why do you get part of it? And nobody could explain it. But as soon as I was in an Amway meeting, I immediately walked up and walked out and told whoever brought me into the meeting to fuck themselves, because I don't have time, nor am I stupid to go into something. I go, look, if you need money, here's $100. Here, I'll be happy to give you that. But don't waste my time in an Amway fucking meeting. Unbelievable. End of classical. Mercantilism is socialism, government control. Nobody wants to be controlled, especially by the government or gangs or anything. But that's what mercantilism is. The French Revolution ends mercantilism. So the French come in 1789. French is now number 1. They just beat Alabama, and they are now the leading football team, as we'll call them for our purposes. France wants to war a lot. So they got all this money, but for some reason they want to go to war instead of just saying, we're the richest country. We'll lay back. 65% went to interest on the national debt. They went broke, tax rate 50% on individuals. Government went bankrupt. Where have we heard this story before? Mostly in Rome and here. A States General Constitutional Convention, Talleyrand, print up paper money versus the church, the land. Church owned 30% of the land. Started the French Revolution. To print money, inflation goes up, prices go up, country goes out. Robespierre, wage and price controls. Story, it's the same fucking story in every country. Reign of Terror, chop off heads, the guillotine. France in total chaos. What the fuck? How do these people get in control? Because you have a leader and then the leader gets killed and then, the Talleyrand or the church or Robespierre, who I thought was a bishop, they come in and they want the control. Now here comes Napoleon, a dictator. No more paper money, puts France on gold standard, lowers taxes 15%. Smart guy wins battles, reinforced trade restrictions. Waterloo in 1815. Mercantilism dies with Napoleon defeat. I'm a little confused here because you're telling me he's not a mercantilist. He's a dictator, but he says we're going to go on the gold standard. We're going to lower taxes. I go to war, and then mercantilism. So socialism dies with Napoleon defeat. So I'm getting a mixed signal in my notes here. That on one hand, he sounds like he's good. He's gold standard and lower taxes, but maybe you can do both. And then he ends socialism, or socialism dies with the defeat. 1815, Latin monetary union establishes the gold standard. 1821, English adopts gold. Funny how these countries all become number one when they get a passing quarterback or they go on the gold standard. All of a sudden, they're the leading country in the world. From 1821 to 1914, the age of classical liberalism, England now is number one. They adopt Adam Smith views. How about that? 1830s, they outlaw slavery, they adopt free trade, rule of law, adopt gold standard, laissez-faire economics, and low taxes. It's just something that's so amazing to me is they all do the same thing. They all get to number one, and then they all fuck it up. Instead of just staying on there, they become rich. It must be like a disease, and then you can't just stay on it. You've got to fuck it up. You can't. It's just unbelievable. During this time, standard of living goes way up. Longevity or life goes up. No world wars during this time. First power not due to military, but due to industry. So all these others were military victories led them to number one, like France and stuff. Here they go not because of the military, but because they build all the boats, the boating industry. Held 1/3 of the world, strongest navy, only property owners voted. So they have this huge navy, which is in fact in World War II, they had the biggest navy and France had the biggest army. And so this is what they're doing now. So they're number one and they've got all the big navy because they're an island and they need the ships, but then they go all over. That's why they were in Hong Kong and they were in Malaysia and I'm drawing a blank. Hong Kong, shit. They were the paper tigers. There was Hong Kong. I think it was Seoul, and there's another Asian country that was very good because they followed this. Hong Kong was huge until China took it over in 2000. Then it went to shit. India was run by the UK. They wanted the US. They run Canada. So the UK was a vast, huge running the world. English strategy, 3 parts: a strong navy, financial stability, always pay their bills. Pound sterling was gold, so they had gold. And divide Europe, kept all countries fighting themselves, no other one power. So they did that very good. Not divide and conquer, but this is Germany, you're here, France is here, and you're not going to invade us. You're going to go invade yourselves. So that's what the British did. London was the world banker, and they still kind of were. They have the gold in London, bought London bonds. London bought bonds from around the world. So London had all the money, and therefore they were number one. These are the 5 things you need to become a financial power, as I've discussed, but we'll go through it again. It's a very critical point, so I don't mind repeating. Low taxes. So the taxes are about me and you keep the money, not the government have it. The more money the government has, they don't know how to spend it because they're not spending their own money. They didn't work for it. We work for our money, and so we keep our money, we spend it properly, right? I'm going to spend $100 on a steak. I'll spend 20. That's the difference. We spend our money more prudently. Free trade, which is most important. Rule of law, well, that's clear now, so nobody can cheat. Stable money, again, we don't want to print and inflate the dollar and kill it. And good communication, so we know what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Those are become a financial power. And let's see if China or Russia can do this, or the BRICS countries, or what the fuck's going to happen. But it ain't going to be the U.S. Outline the dynamics of inflation. So this is the next step. Let's skip that for now. That's the outline for my test, which was 3 types of inflation. So people borrowed from London, and London invested in other countries. This is how they were so strong. World War I ends classical liberalism in 1914. From 1914 to 1965, interventionism, or what do I call it? Oh, interventionism era begins. What it means is government intervenes in the economy. So now they got to stick their 2 cents in. Progressive income tax started in 1913. And guess what happened in 1913? The Federal Reserve, which should never have been. It was illegal. It was in the Constitution never to have one, because what it does is now it allows the government in, they tax us, they print the money, they have a monopoly on it. It fucks everything up. Here comes the Fed. Came in due to political favors, J.P. Morgan. Some groups favored over others. Government tried to regulate the economy, spanned by 2 wars and the Great Depression. Government expanded, but never shrank benefit with contribution. 1965 to present, the era of entitlement. LBJ started this. Entitled to the benefit, healthcare. Essence, entitled to benefit without contribution. Meaning, here's healthcare for you just because. And don't worry, somebody else will pay for it. So imagine going into the grocery store and here's $1,000, or here's $100. Fill your basket up and you don't have to pay for it. Now you're entitled. That's entitlement. The fuck is that? I got to go work, make money, and then I take the money and I go use it for groceries or gas or food or clothes or anything else. I have to go earn it and use it. I can't, it's not free. And if the government gives it, where's the government getting the money from? Oh, it's Social Security. Well, that's from other people that work. Okay, food stamps. Where's that coming from? And that's the problem with it. It's coming from me and you, but wait, we don't want to spend it that way. I want to spend my own money. Now I can do charity, and I do that all the time with my girlfriends. Oh, you need $100? Here you go. So that's really the problem with the government getting involved. President and Congress are just fundraisers. That's what we have now. That's why it costs so much to be a president or get elected. It costs billions of dollars. Let's see. 3rd test we'll get into next time. Guess more into we're back into the 1760s with Jefferson and Hamilton and Constitution, legal tender laws. Very interesting stuff. Huge debt in the U.S., 1755. That hasn't gone away. So basically, that's what we have. We'll get into the other next time. We've been in inflation. We've done the trade cycle, but I'll redo those. Usually I'll call it Austrian economics, a little inflation. So that's the background of it. I'm going to read you this thing, which made me puke this morning. So I was reading this article. I wanted to check about velocity. I'm hearing like that's got something to do with economics, and I really like, what the fuck are they talking about? So the title of this article, what is Keynesian economics, definition, history, and real-world examples of Keynesian economics, written by Master Class. Where have we heard that from before? I tell you, people are stealing my ideas right and left. British economist John Keynes, father of modern macroeconomics, developed his own school of economic thought. Keynes, early 1900s theories. What is Keynesian economics? It argues the driving force for an economy is aggregate demand. Well, we just talked about it. That's not Keynesian. That's Austrian, where you demand the shirt, and that's what's made. The total spending for goods and services by the private sector and government. So what are they saying? You can't even follow it. In the Keynesian economic model, total spending determines all economic outcomes. So they're saying you spend, and that's good. From production to employment rate. In Keynesian economics, demand is crucial and often erratic. Keynes explained that the prosperity of whole economies could decline even if their capacity to produce was undiminished because demand is influenced by demand. What the fuck did this just say? Whenever you read something that's very confusing like this, it's really, at least to me, it's confusing. It's a red flag that what the fuck are we reading here? What is classical economics? Before Keynes proposed his economic theory, the main school of economic thought was classical economics. That's what I'm teaching you. The classical theory opted for laissez-faire policy, meaning that the free market would self-regulate with the laws of supply and demand. Classical economists asserted that aggregate supply, not aggregate demand, was the key focus of a market economy. Is that what I just said? I don't think so. That's not what I'm saying. See, they're trying to break it into supply and demand. Well, what have I said? I said this is the market. This is what we're selling, and it's based on supply and demand to get price. Supply, not aggregate demand, was the key focus of a market economy. That's not what we're saying, which would mean that as long as individuals and businesses were producing goods for sale, those goods would be bought. No, not necessarily. Classical economics also argue that a free market would automatically guarantee full employment. Did I ever say that? When did I say that would be full employment? We don't care about full employment, meaning that anyone who wanted a job would have one. Where are they getting this shit from? I'm reading the notes from a classical economist. When have I said anything about full employment or anything to do with employment? You make what the people want, Say's law. I want a blue shirt, so you make it. When do I mean, this is absurd. But then came the Great Depression, a severe financial downturn that proved difficult to solve, and classical economists were left fumbling for answers. No, we weren't. It's from the Smooth-Hawley Tariff Act, and then it's from all these taxes and everything FDR did which was government involvement, printing money and inflating. That's what it was. I'm not fumbling about that. See, this is my point. They'll say this, but they don't prove their side. And then you're just supposed to take the word that they're saying we fumble, but I've given you answers. So what is he talking about? They observed that most businesses were having trouble selling their products and they wanted involuntary unemployment spike. What the fuck are they talking about? Businesses were having trouble selling because there was nobody with money who could buy it. That's why you couldn't sell if there's no money to be bought. And they watched involuntary unemployment spike. Again, we don't look at unemployment. We don't look at spiking or involuntary. We look at the economy. And why did the economy fail? Because of the Tariff Act, which was a tax. It's sort of like inflation now, causing massive unemployment soon. And they'll go, well, look at the classical economists couldn't, they watch the involuntary unemployment. Well, it's because you got massive inflation, fella. It's insane. The rise of Keynesian economists. In the middle of the Great Recession of the 1930s, John Maynard Keynes created his economic theory as a direct response to the financial downturn. Thanks to this idiot, they basically created the depression that lasted for 10 years. It should have been over in 1929. Hey, Bobby. Well, that's okay, Bobby. And I had to show this card because I couldn't find any of yours, but we were talking about the Randy Moss one. We're talking about grading cards, assets, and investments and things like that. Now I'm talking about Keynesian classical, so you've missed that. Professor's back. I'm glad as I missed earlier class. Ready for, well, I'm almost done with that. I've been talking an hour and a half. You got to get your thing fixed so you know when I'm on. So anyway, in the middle of the Great Recession of the 1930s, John Maynard Keynes. So I'm reading about Keynes and the difference between I'm an Austrian and he's a Keynesian. John Maynard Keynes created his economic theory as a direct response to the financial downturn. He caused the financial downturn. His books, The Economic Consequences of the Peace, a treatise on money and the general theory of employment, interest, and money, solidified his economic theory, often called Keynesianism. On aggregate demand, the business cycle, and involuntary unemployment, and they not only explained how the Great Recession could have happened, but also provided a proposed solution that central banks and government intervention could solve the financial crisis. This guy's out on drugs somewhere. Key Keynesian concepts, the business cycle. This is not a Keynesian concept. This is an Austrian. I told you, and I read it over last week or 2 weeks ago. We talked about the trade cycle, which is all created by the Keynesians. Keynesians recognize a phenomenon classical economists call the business cycle. That's when you lower rates. When the Fed lowers rates, you create it. That's got nothing to do with the Austrian economists, classical economists, in which at certain times it seems like almost all businesses were able to sell as much as they wanted, while other times virtually all business had trouble selling. Where do they come up with this shit? Classical economists couldn't explain what caused the business cycle. I'm sorry, did I not walk you through every fucking step saying it was all caused by the Fed and the interest rates? What is this guy talking about? We couldn't explain what caused the business cycle because they were focused on supply. We're not focused on supply. What is this guy talking about? But Keynes' emphasis on demand finally offered an explanation. According to Keynes, the business cycle works in stages. Oh, I can't wait for this. First, people like to have extra money in reserve in case of an emergency. Oh my God. This is how it works. But how do they get it? Not because the Fed lowers the interest rates. If everyone becomes fearful at once, everyone will attempt to increase their reserves at the same time. What the fuck is this guy talking about? Third, if everyone increases their reserves at the same time, there will not be enough spending to buy all the goods and services of sale. This is like Three Stooges here. Fourth, if there is not enough spending to buy all the goods and services for sale, the level of fear in the economy will increase. This fear will in turn cause people to want to increase their reserves of money, and the cycle will build on itself. Can you believe that this idiot is spewing this? And oh my God, this is unbelievable. This cycle is difficult to stop. All you got to do is raise interest rates and then let everything collapse. Cycle is difficult to stop because people cannot get the very thing they want, more money in reserve. Really, is that what we want? What is this guy talking about? Because the only way to get money is by selling something to other people. Wouldn't you get money working? Or if you bought gold and silver and that went up, or a Rolex? That's how I would do it. The only way to get money is by selling something to other people. Those people will be reluctant to buy because they too are trying to increase their reserves. This is referred to as the paradox of thrift. So in other words, nobody will sell me my Randy Moss card because they need money. So nobody will sell, so therefore the economy dies. The fuck is this guy talking about? Key Keynesian concepts, involuntary unemployment. I've never heard that term before. Keynes explained that even productive economies could get caught in an economic downturn if a lack of demand and therefore a lack of spending arose. Well, lack of demand happens when you make fucking electric cars and nobody wants it. And if you raise interest rates too high and you can't afford it, that's when you have lack of demand from malinvestments. Bobby, nice cards there. I see you got my boy Barry. Yeah, I haven't graded it yet. This should be worth a whole lot more, but you know what? They say he did steroids, and for some reason that means something. Unfucking believable. I don't know what Randy Moss's answer is, why this isn't a more expensive card. This is his rookie card. It's Randy fucking Moss. It just doesn't make sense. Here's a Roger Staubach card. We all have heard of him. This is from 1976, and this is a graded near mint 8, but I bet it ain't worth $100. Anyway, Prophet, I'm learning so much here. Thank you, Prophet. That's the point. How much are they worth today? Not a lot. I mean, the bonds I got to get graded. If it comes back 10, which it should, it's beautiful corners and shape. Probably maybe 500-600, not the 10 grand it should be. This one, because it's a 9s, maybe worth $200. I don't know. I have to check. Staubach's probably worth 150. We'll see. These are not my good cards. These are just cards that I had gotten graded. And, so I got them graded. But back then, they were cheap. They were $5 and I'd get mint 9s, right? So you can see this Randy Moss card's a mint 9. You see how it's mint 9? And so therefore the gem mint 10 maybe is worth $1,000, but a mint 9 isn't. So that's almost the problem. If you get a card graded 9, you'd probably just throw it out and try to get it graded again into a 10. And anyway, economies could get, Keynes explained that even productive economies could get caught in an economic downturn if a lack of demand and therefore a lack of spending arose. The lack of spending would cause businesses to cut back on production. Well, of course, because interest rates are high and people can't afford it because you've raised inflation and the interest rates. So therefore, everything's more expensive. You have less money to spend. Hello. The lack of spending could cause businesses to cut back on production. And the cuts in production would then lead businesses to reduce the number of workers. I've explained all that in my theory, the Austrian theory of the trade cycle. uh, lead business to reduce the number of workers they employed, creating high unemployment. Of course, the reduction in employment opportunities would then lead families to cut back on spending. Well, hello, if you're going to raise prices and interest rates and inflation. So what the Fed does is makes money more expensive. They're the ones doing it, but do you hear him talk about the Federal Reserve raising interest rates anywhere in his assertion? Absolutely not. Keynesian economic solutions. Oh, I can't wait to hear his solutions. Keynesian economics offers a solution to lack of spending, physical and monetary policies. Fiscal policy is any financial stimulus implemented by the national government. Here it comes. Here comes the communists out of this Keynesian stuff. So the government should stimulate, implemented by the government. Fiscal policy can come either in the form of increased government spendings on things like infrastructure or in the form of tax cuts. Either of these men will inject more demand in the private economy and strengthen economic activities. How the fuck would building roads get into our pockets and strengthen the economy? How would it strengthen the economy if you inject more demand in the private economy? How does building a road inject demand in the private economy? It doesn't. Public does not. That's public, not private. And strengthen economic. Fiscal policy works because according to Keynes, reduced aggregate demand. It's a nice word, aggregate. What the fuck does it mean? Reduced aggregate demand causes financial crisis, and government spending is part of the aggregate demand. Therefore, an increase in government deficit spending means an increase in aggregate demand, which alleviates economic downturns in the short run and promotes economic growth. Oh my God. What the fuck did I just read? Because it's not English. Keynesian reduced aggregate demand causes financial crisis. Financial crises are caused by increase in prices based on the Fed inflating and increasing interest rates. Got nothing to do. How does Austrian economics reduce demand cause financial crisis, and government spending is part of aggregate demand? Government spending, so they're trying to link the private and the public spending. So they think if government spends, that'll be good for the economy. Okay. Therefore, an increase in government deficit spending means an increase in aggregate demand. I don't see how they're related, which alleviates economic downturns in the short run and promotes economic growth. So if the government doesn't, an increase in government deficit spending, which we're not sure what that means an increase in aggregate demand. So somehow that's the demand for the goods. So are they out running out and buying Toyota and blue jeans and ribs? Is the government running out to do that? Which alleviates economic downturn. There ain't no way this is fucking fantasy world. Keynesian economic solutions, monetary policy. Monetary policy is any physical influence implemented by the central bank, which is scary enough. Monetary policy usually comes in the form of lower interest rates, which increase the total money supply within an economy by allowing individuals and businesses more access to loans. Well, what if they don't have good credit and therefore more accessible spending power? Keynesian theory argues for something called the multiplier effect, which says that each dollar of government spending results in $1 increase of aggregate demand. Why? For instance, if the government spends $100 million on a public works project, roads, so they spend $100 million to make roads, and $50 million of that was for labor costs, so the guy who pours the cement and lines the road, those workers would take that money and spend it at businesses. which businesses would then have more money to produce more and hire additional workers, contributing more spending. Thus, according to Keynesian economics, the government's 100 million will result in approximately 100 million of economic growth. What a bunch of bullshit this is. So, in other words, if the government prints $100 million and builds a road with it, and the guy working, the government employee who works on the road, gets the money, he's going to spend all of it, right? He's not going to save it. He's not going to pay his rent or feed his kids. He's just going to put it back into the economy. How does that end up being 100 million? He has 50 million. He can only spend 50 million. And that's how any job would work. So if I'm a painter and you're building houses and I go paint my thing and the guy gives me a paycheck, that goes into the economy too, but at a much better rate. Because what he doesn't say is, where's the government getting the 100 million to build a road in the first place? Through our taxes and through inflation. Oh, he didn't say that though. He didn't put us in the loop on that. He didn't explain where the government got the 100. They just printed it out of thin air. Real world example. Oh, I can't wait for this. Real world examples of Keynesian economics. An example of the Keynesian model in action in the United States, President Barack Obama's response to the global financial crisis that began in 2007 because of Barack Obama and Clinton, actually. President Obama implemented significant fiscal policies during the Great Recession of the mid-2000s. In February 2009, President Obama signed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which was a government stimulus package of $787 billion. Where did that money come from? Designed to save existing jobs and create new ones. And how did that happen? While opinion is divided as to the Recovery's act's effectiveness, the majority of economists, not this one, agree that at the end of 2010, unemployment was lower than it would have been without the stimulus package. Well, that really was... that was clear as mud, that whole. So this is the real world example of Keynesian economics. We go ahead and did a stimulus package where we printed $1 billion. And because we printed it, many economists agreed that at the end of 2010, unemployment was lower than it would have been without the stimulus, which you have no fucking clue of explaining, nor do you try to explain, nor do you say the stimulus package is what? We printed money, we handed it out, and now unemployment's down. And we don't talk about the crisis, which was created by the Keynesians, because they sat there and said, you know what, we're going to let anybody get a house loan, and we're not going to regulate anything. And well, not that they should regulate, but we're going to have all these loans, and all these people are going to whatchamacallit on them. They're going to renuke on them, and there's going to be this mass chaos by people not paying their mortgage loans. And since these idiots on Wall Street did all these REITs, real estate investment trusts, using these mortgage-backed securities so people can get 8% on their money, and they can't afford when we raise the interest rates, then they're all going to default on their mortgages. We're going to have a stimulus package. That's what's going to save the day. We'll print a bunch of money out of the air and hand it out? Is that what they did, was hand it out? And then with that being handed out, that saved unemployment. What the fuck did this guy just say? This is the stupidest article, and yet they won't. What do they try to do? They try to make Austrians look bad without any explanation. Austrians are responsible for the Great Depression, but they don't say how. I tell you that we're not, because I tell you it was done by a Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which increased taxes from, I think it was China or Europe. And because of the increased taxes, costs go up, just like inflation, and the economy busts, just like it's doing, because costs are higher. And then you went out and brought in Keynes, who did all this government spending bullshit and raised taxes, which you don't talk about, which is why this depression went from 29 and ended in 30 to all the way to 1944, where we needed a fucking world war to end it because you guys fucking murdered the economy. If you'd have left it to the Austrians, we would have backed it. It should have been backed by gold, so it really makes no sense. You came out with Social Security and public programs you never should have come out with. You spent the money that was printed. Where'd you get the money for it? And you caused a much bigger depression. It was caused by Keynes, but it's the classical. The Austrians did it, and we can't explain how, but we can just blame them because it was a depression, and so it was obviously the central bank. The central bank's Keynesian. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So that's really what happened. But we'll blame the Austrians. We won't blame and so we don't want to use Austrian economics. So this is the biggest struggle that everybody here has. And when we say buy gold, everybody goes, oh no, you're Austrian. Look what you did. You caused the Great Depression. The Keynesians rescued everybody with their public works and handing out money and all this shit. So if the Keynesians don't believe in gold and they're saying we need to print, not understanding if you print, you inflate because you can't print. You've got to stop printing because you're creating this massive inflation because you print and print and print, and they don't want to get that. So this is basically our problem, right? So we're going. I just read you, Bobby. You missed it. You got to watch it. So I just read why all these countries were number one. They all followed what I've been talking to you about before, Bobby, which is how to become a financial power. Low taxes, free trade, rule of law, stable money, and good communications. And that's what every country that became the national powers, and we'll quickly review those for Bobby. I want to make sure he gets it. So the Roman Empire started in 250 BC to 68 to 250 AD to 68 BC. And then the empire took over 69 BC to 500. What caused its downfall? Inflation. What caused it to be good? Well, they had low taxes and they had gold and they had, their guys. You'll love this, Bobby. In Rome, there was two presidents, one every other month, afraid to give one man too much power. You can only be elected to office one time for 1 month. And that's how the Romans thrived. And what happened, of course, they became an empire and the dictators came in and fucked up the currency. Then we got to 1500, Spain took over. And what did Spain do? Free private property, free trade, no slavery, written constitution, no inflation, low taxes, little government. And then what happened? Mercantile state, they went socialist. Inflation killed Spain. Then Holland took over. Amsterdam, World Financial Center, they did the same thing. What happened? Inflation killed Amsterdam. France came in 1650 to 1789, the same thing. France has everything, and they basically inflated to fuck everything over. Then we had the Communist Revolution in 1776. They wanted to end private property, no family, no God, and no monarchy. And of course, they fucked up. Then here come the French Revolution. And the French started off with the same thing. And then what happens? A couple of bad people, Talleyrand and Robespierre. And then they fuck it up. Here comes Napoleon. He puts France on the gold standard, lower taxes, and he becomes this great, he's a dictator, great general. Socialism ends with Napoleon defeat, and then we get into 1821 to 1914. England's the number one power, And what do? Outlaw slavery, adopt free trade, rule of law, adopt gold standard, laissez-faire, low taxes, standard of living goes through the roof, longevity goes through the roof, no world wars from 1821 to 1913. First power to not due to military, but due to industry. That is how you become a financial power. And then they all fuck it up by inflating and getting off the gold standard. It's just, it doesn't, I don't get it. They keep understanding how to do it. But then, see, then here comes these other people get corrupt because there's so much power, right? They get corrupt. You know what it's like? It's like The Hobbit. I'm sure everybody's seen The Hobbit. And the dwarves start digging all the gold, and they got all this gold, and they keep digging because they got more gold and more gold. Talk about somebody on the gold standard. And then what happens? The dragon comes, and he sees all the gold, and he wants the power, and he takes over. And I think that is the story of all these countries, is the dragon comes and basically wants all the gold and basically corrupts everybody. Everybody listens to the dragon. Well, the dragon's here in the U.S. Then he's going, Russia and China are going to try the gold standard. And then the dragon's going to go to Russia and China, who are full of dragons. This is, I think, the problem is the dragon comes, the dragon corrupts. When you get too much power and no war and everything's running peacefully, you can't have it. You've got to, Sauron has to come. The dragon has to come. It's inevitable that that's going to happen to you. So it's just, but it's happened everywhere. And it's happened since the Roman Empire and France and Spain and England and Amsterdam. They can't just be sitting back going, hey, we're number one in the U.S. And eventually the dragon comes, eventually the corruption happens, and eventually you fold and somebody else figures out, hey, it's somebody else comes in and says, hey, let's have low taxes and free trade and rule of law and stable. We'll have gold standard and good communications. And then it attracts the dragon, and then they're fucked too. So I don't know how we can ever stop it, because the dragon's always there, because you become too tame, you become rich. So what do? You kind of relax. You're not trying to go to war. You're trying to, you're trying to play with your gold. I mean, that's probably what you're trying to do. And here comes the dragon, and he's saying, oh, I want your gold. And you're like, and that's what happens. And that's what you see it in sports all the time. Alabama was the number one team. They're gone. A lot of their recruits are leaving, not staying. Clemson was good for a few years. They're gone. Georgia's good for a few years. They'll be gone. Ohio State, Michigan, USC, you cannot stay number one. There's always going to be the dragon. And that's just what the fuck happens. And that's what's happening now. And then people get all like, oh my God, the dragon's coming. And you're like, well, fuck, that's what happens. The dragon. Now, I'm trying to warn you the dragon's coming, but you don't want to believe that. How can the dragon come? How could Rome go out? They were the Roman fucking Empire, right? How could Rome from 250 BC to 500 AD possibly not exist anymore? How could they go for 200 years before Christ, and then from 69 BC till 500 AD? How could they blow themselves up? And yet they were a republic for a whole about 200 years, from 250 BC to 68 BC. So call it 200 years. They were a republic, and then it became an empire, and then it became dictators. Then it was Caesar, and then it was Nero, and then it ends. And that's, how does that happen? I mean, and yet it becomes very corrupt. Caesar, one man got too much power. And here comes Augustus Caesar, no wars. He's fine, but he doesn't stay. Eventually he dies, and here comes Nero, who's extremely corrupt. So you always are going to have the guy who sees the dragon, and he sees the money, and he's going to take it. Bobby, how much are they worth today? Oh, okay, answer that. Professor, you ever heard of Gareth Soloway? Name does not sound familiar. Who is he? Oh, you can answer it. He's a professional trader on YouTube based out here in Tampa. He makes some decent calls, but he says that silver will go up to about $30.23. What are your thoughts on that? Well, you really need to ask me that question. This is a guy who's a Keynesian. This is a guy that doesn't understand the difference between paper and physical. Paper silver might go up to 30, but there won't be derivative paper silver anymore. It's gone. It's bankrupt. So let's ask ourselves, why do I think silver is going to 2,000 an ounce? Because it's been suppressed. They've held the beach ball underwater since 1971. It's not at market rates. Market says this sells for $50. Let's say that's what silver is. But what are they doing? They're holding this at $2 a bottle. And is that the real price? No, it's $50, but they're holding it at $2. So anybody that would say silver will hit 30 is saying paper silver will hit 30, not physical. That's the first problem. Excuse me. So physical, why does Howard think it'll hit 2,000? Well, you're crazy, Howard. It's $30. It's 25. Because as I've explained last time, and shame on you, Bobby, you didn't watch, the demand. So we talk supply and demand, which means what is it that the market determines? What is the market? Well, we use this. So what does the market say Randy Moss's rookie card's worth? What does the market dictate? So you have a marketplace, you have supply. I have one card, and then I put it on auction on eBay, and I get demand, and I get people bidding on the card, and people bid it to the fair price. If it's 20 or $100, that's what the market is. So you're bidding this card. That's the demand end of it. The supply end of it is I have one card. So let's say it gets $50. That's the value of this card is now $50. But if somebody pulls out another one and maybe it gets 60, now the demand is really $60. So, but at least I have a supply demand free market. And the free market is, here it is. People are free to bid on it and get it to the price. Now let's look at silver. Silver is sitting there, and some guy has the ounce of silver, and he doesn't have a market. He doesn't have demand. There's nobody bidding it on demand. There's COMEX, which is paper, which is like saying, well, I don't really have the Barry Bonds card. I really have this piece of paper. I really, this is the Barry Bonds, and I really don't have this card. I'm going to sell 1,000 Barry Bonds cards here. I don't have any. I only have one, but I'm going to sell 1,000 of them. That's the paper market. So they're selling thousands of ounces of silver, but they don't have it. They don't have this, right? So you don't have a free market to get the price. What's the real price? It ain't the derivative. It isn't what it sells for on paper. This we've already know is fixed. This is all a little game. That's not real. So what do we argue? I says, but we don't know what the real price of this card is. What is the real price? Here's the supply. The demand is up here. So the price shouldn't be $20. It should be this price. This price should be what this demand is. Let's say this is $100. That's what it should be, right? So now let's do it with gold and silver. So we'll do silver. Here's silver. So the paper's keeping the price down. So people now think that it's only worth $30. Here's the actual coin, and the demand from the Russians, Chinese, Indians, and half of fucking world is up here. But because we don't allow the real market to take over and the real demand to come through, we don't know what that price is. But well, we see what the paper is selling it for 25. So we're going to say that this price is 25, even if demand's here, the demand's here, the demand's here, the demand's here. So whatever the demand is, it's not the demand for the physical ounce, it's for the paper. We don't know this price because we know how much gold and silver, Russia, China, the demand is like way up here. Okay, let's say it's here, and here's your price. Well, we know that the price is not here. The price has to come all the way up where people want it. And what I'm saying is it ain't $30. It's $2,000-$3,000 at least. And once it gets there, it'll drive more demand in, and it'll raise the price even more. Because right now people are being blindsided by thinking it's only worth. People think silver is only worth $30. So therefore, there's no interest in it. Much like this. Why would I buy Barry Bonds? He's only worth $25 on eBay. But that's not graded. That's not PSA 10. Oh, okay. And again, we got to get this graded, but that tells us what the price is. This is like paper. When it gets to this, then this is a truer price for this card because it's already graded PSA 9 or mint 9. So therefore, there's this card and then there's this card. Okay, so if let's say this is Barry at PSA 9, then there's PSA 10, and that's what I'm talking about. So silver itself is sitting there at paper. Nobody knows the true, I have an ounce of silver, here's the demand for it. So nobody really knows the true demand, and therefore, what is it really selling for? What is this real price? We know in the grocery store, if I go look for this, let's say it's $75 now. Well, that's the demand. That's the market. If I sell a bottle of whiskey, I get $75 for it. That's the real market for it. So for him to say $30, I'd like to know where he's pulling it out of his ass. And he's pulling out paper derivative silver, not physical silver. So the question needs to be asked is what do you consider the price for physical silver? And if he says 30, you go, where are you getting that figure? There's a huge demand for it, for physical, not paper. So is paper silver and physical silver price different? Hey, Bobby, do you not listen to our classes? Or do we still go on off what it costs online? Okay, so again, paper silver is not real. It's not a real price. It's kept low by JP Morgan. It is not the price of silver. There is a price of physical silver, which we haven't realized yet because they haven't allowed it to come out yet. That's what Russia and the BRICS countries are doing. They're going to allow gold and silver to come out at the real physical price based on the demand for gold and silver. Let's put it this way. China has 40,000 fucking ounces of gold. Russia, 20,000 ounces. That's pretty big demand. That puts it at a lot more than 1,800, I guarantee you. And silver's right there with it. Silver being a money, money, not currency. That it is not worth $30 an ounce. Okay, the physical silver is at least $2. But because nobody has that number, everybody uses COMEX because China was going to do it in 2014, and the U.S. basically threatened to kill them if they came out with the real gold and silver numbers the U.S. was going to kill them. They were going to go to war and destroy China for saying they had all this gold and silver. So that's how corrupt it is. And you have to understand the silver I'm telling you to buy is worth 1,000 times more than the $30. Okay. Because it's been submerged since 1971. That's not the real price. That's the derivative paper price. So it's not at supply demand, at market prices, at physical. This is what people want to pay for the physical. It's not there. Therefore, we don't know what the price is, but I would bet anything that is a lot more than $30, and gold is a lot more than 1,800. That is a guarantee. That is why I tell you to buy it. Not only do you need to get out of the paper crap that's worthless, but you're going to get a double dip because you're going to save all your money that's in this, and you're going to have it all in gold and silver, which is now going to go up to physical. So physical is through the roof, prices here. Well, once they let price go to physical demand like this, once it goes to the physical, that's when you're going to really see it go through the roof. And see, we're waiting for them to price it at physical. It's not at physical. Again, this guy, I don't know if you can call him, but I would definitely email him saying, you're out of your fucking mind. You're a moron. Please stop being on these shows because he's clearly an idiot. Now maybe his paper will be worth 30, but who the fuck wants that? We're not buying ETFs. This is why I tell you don't buy ETFs. The physical gold and silver that I tell you to buy, that I show you I bought, is going to go through the fucking roof. That's the whole point of it. That's why I'm telling you to buy it. People, what do people do? What you just said. Oh, well, the paper is only $30. Why would I buy it? You're not buying paper. You're buying physical, first of all. And there eventually won't be a paper price. There'll just be one physical price. But they haven't created a physical price yet because JP Morgan and the US government does not want competition to this fucking bullshit dollar. So therefore, because they don't want the competition, because JP Morgan wants a monopoly so he can print it and then make himself millions of dollars by printing it, that's why you don't have the physical price. But that's where we're blowing that up. Bobby, I expect you to retract that question. Or do we still? Okay. I think I got it. So the dollar will have to go to shit for silver and gold to fly to its true price. Not necessarily. What will happen and is happening is the BRICS countries. Russia and China are going to make gold go through the roof because all the BRICS countries are backing. They're smart enough to read the Roman history and realize that the gold, that what do you need to have the republic is low tax, free trade, free enterprise, and good currency. So the good old Russians and Chinese, which are going to Austrian economics to see how do you make a superpower, realize they need good laws and they need good money. And they must have, as I said, they must have stable money. They must have low taxes. I don't know if you'll get that in Russia. Free trade, which you do got. Rule of law, which I don't know you'll get in Russia or China. Stable money and good communication. So the only thing you're going to get out of these guys is maybe a rule of law and stable money. That's about all you're going to get. The money's going to be backed by gold, which is going to force, they're going to back their money by gold and go to the gold standard. That is the key to what you're talking about. So the US dollar doesn't have to go to zero, but when you have competition, what's going to happen? You're going to go and say, you know what? I'd rather be in rubles or yuan that are backed by gold. I'd rather be in gold than dollars. That's what's going to happen. And you're going to have the choice: the ruble, yuan backed by gold, the BRICS countries, or the dollar backed by shit. So what'll happen is everybody's going to want the gold because everybody knows gold's gold. So everybody runs to the gold. What happens to the price of gold? It goes through the roof because they're not wanting the derivative price. They want the real physical price. And they own 40,000 physical tons, the Chinese, and the Russians, 20,000 physical tons. They own the physical. That's what these guys have. They don't have ETFs from JP Morgan. They own the physical. That's what's going to make it explode, is they're going to want that. They're going to say, well, this is what we want. And off they go, and boom. And the dollar will collapse because nobody's going to want it. They're going to want to get paid in yuan and gold backed stuff. So that's really what's going to happen, Bobby. The dollar will go to shit because of the BRICS new currency backed by gold, right? That's why it'll go. And gold will go to its true price because the Russians and Chinese want it at their price. And apparently the Russians are at war with the Ukraine and nobody's doing shit about it. So why are they worried about the U.S. saying, if you do go to the gold standard, we're going to nuke you? They're not worried about it. And China's not worried about it because they got Russia. So the two of them figure, well, we're strong enough against the U.S. The problem with the U.S. is you got Joe Biden and Mark Milley and all those ludicrous at the Army-Navy game that I wanted to throw up because they're making us look bad. And when that happens, they're not worried. You know, I'm not worried about you going to war with us because we're on the gold standard, because you fucked up Afghanistan, you fucked up Ukraine. You fuck up everything. I'm not worried about you. You don't scare me at all. Which then makes gold go through the roof. I assume Biden's in bed with China, so that's what the U.S. wants. That's what China wants. Believe me, they'll be like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to nuke you. Just go. We want gold to go up too. And the biggest bonus of this whole thing will be that the countries then can get out of debt the only way they can, which is we have gold, and now the gold went from 1,800 to 50,000 or 60,000 or 100,000. Now we can pay off our debt with the gold. Thank you very much. And that's basically what is happening. And me and you are central banks. Me and you are just sitting there going, we're Eddie Murphy in Trading Places going, orange juice isn't going to go down. We're gonna sell it really high and buy it really low. That's what he did. He reversed it. So they're selling it at 118 and buying it at 18. That's what happened in that trading pit at the end of the movie. And they ended up with lobster and on nice boats. And that's what me and you are Eddie Murphy. We're just sitting there going, yeah, I'll buy a couple ounces of gold and give me 20 ounces of silver. And it's so cheap. And we're going to benefit from the idiots in the U.S. keeping the price low. If you would have left the price to market, gold would be 50, 60,000 an ounce, especially with inflation. Me and you wouldn't even be talking about buying it because there's no way in God's name we could have bought it. And we would have just been poor and slaves the way they wanted us. But because we're able to buy it, because it's so cheap, me and you are able to be central banks. We can buy silver at $28 an ounce. I'm going to go tomorrow. What's today? Tuesday. I'm going to go tomorrow and buy my 20, 30 ounces of silver and maybe another ounce or two of gold. What blows my mind is when I pull up these two things. So when I sit there, so when I call up the Dow Jones Industrials and it shows me it's up 103, that's clearly bullshit, right? Because why would stocks even be up? Why would anybody be in stocks now? Because they're stupid. They believe that they know there's trouble, right? So they think the only way out is to buy stocks. As I've explained to you guys, that's not a way out. That's more trap. And it's going to crash because they can't handle the inflation. They can't handle the cost. So I love it when this is up. And then I get over here and I go to the gold price today. So I look at the gold price. Hello. And wow, it's up $28 to $18.10. So if I want some tomorrow, I got to be paying $1,900. So I don't know. I might buy another ounce. But as we see silver's up a whole 38 cents at 23.73. So when I look at that, I go, okay, that's not real. This is paper. And that's what you got to realize is it's paper. So when I see the Dow up, again, it's your money manager. Bobby, you talk to your money manager and you tell me what he says. You go, I'm a little worried with this inflation and BRICS countries and everything else. You won't know what you're talking about. And then you're going to say, where should I put my money? Oh, keep it in bonds and stocks, Bobby. Well, what about gold? Oh, no, we don't. Gold doesn't do anything. You don't want to be in gold. That's terrible. I mean, that's what he'll say to you, and that's when you fire him because he's not looking out in your best interest. He doesn't have the skill set to manage you, and you're going to go broke by having an idiot like that in charge of your money that you work so hard to play and get, and then this guy's going to steal it from you because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. That's weird. So, yes, paper, silver, and physical silver are priced. They're not price different. There is no physical price. But we can take advantage of the low price to buy more physical at the paper price. Get out of ETFs if you're in them. These IRA gold that you do not own the physical. If you can't touch and feel the coins, you don't got shit. Your ETF, you're not gonna have anything, and the gold stocks will go up as the price of this gold goes up. The stock will go up, but first it's going to go down. All I can say is stocks are going to drop. The government's keeping them up, so that's kind of delaying it too. The debt's huge, inflation's huge. These idiots are raising interest rates again, which is basically breaking everything. And gold and silver are going to go through the roof because of the BRICS countries. That's the real reason, the BRICS countries. So keep that in mind. That's what's going to happen. We'll read. So I got into the economic. When you watch this over, it's fascinating economics from 6/16/93, my master's class in Austrian economics. We will get into the Continental Congress and Ben Franklin and Alexander Hamilton in our next class, maybe tomorrow. I have posted some football bowl games. I have updated my stats for the pros, but I have not as of yet. I'm still kind of studying it, but I had to watch some things. The last thing we're going to talk about is we talk gold, silver, and investment. So the last thing we want to talk about is the digital currency. From what I gather, they will not force us to use the digital currency. They will take this dollar and say you can replace it with the new dollar at 70 cents, give us a month or so. That's my thought process, because you're going to have 350 million people broke because you said this isn't worth anything anymore and you can't go to the bank and exchange it. how's that going to last? Are you kidding me? They'll blow up the Capitol. I mean, that'll never happen. So what'll happen is some people who are dependent on the government will get the central currency, which to me will be a debit card. Like if you're on unemployment or Social Security, you probably get a card and they put money on it. What money are they going to put on it, right? Are they going to, because this money won't be worth anything. So they'll have to revalue everything. Which means when you go to the grocery store to buy milk, it won't be $3 anymore. It'll be $1 or 70% or whatever the hell they're going to do with it. They're going to have to revalue it. So that'll be very interesting to see what they do. But you should be able to have dollars. As far as I know, going to Europe, you'll be able to, there's got to be FX conversions. There's got to be a new euro and a new Deutschmark and a new this and a new that. I can't imagine that. What are you going to do to all the people? So you can't just fuck everybody over. It doesn't work. It won't work. People have to be accepting of it, and they won't be. Nobody wants to be controlled and monitored. So nobody will get into this digital currency crap unless you just have to go on if you're on Social Security, you're on Medicare, if you're on food stamps, then you'll probably need it. Otherwise, the rest of us will be like, I don't want anything to do with it. They won't do gold and silver away, because if they do, then we'll go black market. And if we go black market, what I think will be 50,000 for gold will be 500,000 for gold. That'll be huge if they go black market. So I don't see them going black market. They'll just try to tax it or control it or whatever way they're going to do it. If they can. I don't know that they can. There's a lot of things you want. There's a lot of reality that can't happen. So I don't think we'll be forced into the digital currency. I don't think, I'm not sure that the credit card and the mortgage is going to go to zero either. I wouldn't count on that at this point. Maybe it does, but I'm not counting on it. We'll know when they come out with the new currency. So if you destroy this currency and the Russian Chinese say, hey, we got currency backed by gold, you got toilet paper, this goes out of favor. Now you're going to revalue gold and silver, and now you're going to come out with new dollars, which are going to have that value. And that's what's going to happen. So I don't believe we'll be forced into the digital currency. I think that'll be an option for the poor people who want to be enslaved by the government, now with the bullshit. Bobby. So we may be down to our last couple of months to accumulate more gold and silver. Well, at these prices, I think I'll always be able to get gold and silver. The question is, so here's how it will work in my world. I've got a bunch of silver and a bunch of gold. As they go up in price, I won't be able to use my dollars to buy them. So I'm going to be able to buy gold with my silver. So if my silver goes to 5,000 an ounce and gold's 100,000, I got 20 ounces of silver. I can then take the 20 ounces of silver and buy another ounce of gold. That's how Howard in his world can buy more gold. Because remember, the paper won't have value. So you're going to need something with value. Maybe it's your Rolex. Maybe it's your Mantle cards and your Brady cards and your Jordan cards that you can sell and buy an ounce of gold with it. So your key is to get out of this into an asset, into gold and silver, into something. You want to be in something that will hold its value while this clean, you light your cigar with this, right? So you're lighting your cigar with this while this and this go way up in value, because it takes a lot more, because it'll go up in value based on this. It'll go up in value based on purchasing power when you try to buy a house with an ounce of gold and you're in a $500,000 house and here's your ounce of gold. That's what the gold's going to do for you, and the silver. It's the purchasing power. It won't be in dollars anymore. So you need to buy assets in something that will hold value, which I'm just telling you. So again, it's baseball cards, it's gold and silver, it's paintings, it's jewelry, it's diamonds, it's something that it's an asset that will go up as the dollars drop. That's all I can tell you. I'm telling you gold and silver as sure as I'm sitting here. I'm telling you, if you want the Mantle cards and the Brady cards, to go buy those. Unfortunately, the Bonds cards with the McGuire cards, I don't know. The Randy Moss cards never really. There's one I have that's worth about 20 grand. It's a Bowman Chrome rookie card. Unfortunately, I wish I had the refractor. Then that's worth like 50,000. I got the refractor and all the other cards, but the Manning rookie, the Andy Moss rookie, and the Charles Woodson rookie, those I was cheap, and I didn't buy the refractors. Had I'd be all set. I'd be all done. I'd be retired. So that's what's happening now. On the other side, what you got to realize is we all have girlfriends. Even if we're married, we've got girlfriends, we've got kids, we've got family. And when your girlfriend comes to you because she's not smart enough to have bought silver and gold, even though you've told her 100 times, oh, I thought you would do it, Bobby. You're going to take care of me. I don't need to buy it. You need to buy some for them because when I go visit my girl in Lisbon, I gave her 1/2 ounce of gold and 3 ounces of silver. That's the second time I've done this. So she now has an ounce of gold and about 6 ounces of silver. When we meet, that's her little gift. And I go, it's yours. You got to take care of yourself with it, but you have it. And in the Ukraine, an ounce of gold is going to go a whole long way. I just heard from my other friend in Romania who's pregnant. She's married. I wasn't involved. I says, well, I think the only way I'm going to give you gold is I'm going to have to fly there and give it to you. Because I don't trust FedEx or UPS to send it to you, and they're going to give it to you. I got a feeling it's going to get hung up, and I don't mind giving you an ounce of gold. I mind losing the ounce of gold. So she's like, well, wait till I have the baby. I think the baby's due January or February. And then come and you'll meet the baby, and then you can do it, which I was, it's good for her. So I said, okay. So she's all excited. She couldn't have a baby. All of a sudden she got pregnant. So she's like, what the fuck? So she's going to have the baby. So I'll come meet the baby. And again, you've got to have a little extra gold and silver for the girlfriends and for your family and for people that are important to you. You're not going to want them to starve. So you're going to have to buy an extra 1/2 ounce of gold here. That's where 1/4 ounces of gold come in. They're like, here's a 1/4 ounce and it's worth $15,000. So nobody can bitch at you, or the silver. Anyway, so that's really what you must understand. You're going to have to give them gold. And so you're not going to watch them starve, especially kids, especially girlfriends. You're not going to want them hurt. So you're going to have a little bit extra. Here's 5 ounces of silver for the kids or the girlfriend. She's going to want a 1/4 ounce of gold at least. So keep that in mind. So you got to have a little extra. And off we go. And you got to be, if we have trouble here, you go fly to Switzerland or fly to Austria and you sell it there. You find a gold store, and believe me, there's black market everywhere, and they buy it and give you the money, and off you go. And whatever we need to do, we're going to do to get the good value out of it. That's why I don't think the U.S. will do anything, because it's not hard to get on an airplane, put it in the plastic bin, and put quarters around it, and nobody's looking for it. Nobody cares. They're looking for guns and knives. So you'll be fine getting through customs or anything with it. Then you just put it back in your pocket like it's change, and nobody cares. Again, don't get greedy, but I did take a few ounces and I was fine. So what else? So that's what's going to happen. It's a matter of time. Gold and silver has been slow to the table, are finally here. So keep that in mind. That's where we're headed to. And You must understand that. Again, you've got to be careful with these guys. Bobby's watching with the guy saying, "Oh, I can see gold at $30." Well, you know why he says that? Because he's being monitored on YouTube by JP Morgan, probably. I'm not, because they think I'm football, right? So they don't pay any attention to me. And they sit there and he'll get a phone call from Luca Brasi saying, don't be talking gold and silver are going to go up. We got to keep people thinking it's going to go down. It's not a good investment to buy in. I think that's part of it, because these people don't come across that stupid yet. Are they all this stupid that the actual price of gold and silver, which we know is going to skyrocket, is going to sit at $30 an ounce? Silver might break 35. Are you out of your fucking mind? What part of it's being suppressed and the demand's here? Do you not understand fake demand? That's why I did the class on it the other day. Fake demand is basically saying, well, look, it's really not worth anything. That's not real. The demand's through the roof and the price is down here. There's this huge disconnect called COMEX, called the derivative market, where the price is here, the demand's here. Every other item in the world, the fucking price is here, and then here's the demand and the price are right here on every other fucking thing but gold and silver. The two most important things. But we're in the middle of a miracle. We can buy it at this price. If just go buy as many fucking ounces of silver at $28 as you can buy. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You can't lose. So at the worst case, you go back to the coin store and say, well, here, I changed my mind. Give me my $28 back. And he'll say, sorry, it's now worth 2,000. I got to give you 2,000 an ounce, not 28. That's going to be the worst problem. You're buying money. You're not spending a cent. You're changing your paper into silver. You are Rumpelstiltskin. I was watching that one show, and Rumpelstiltskin, some British guy was playing him, and he was weaving his hair into gold. And that's what we are, Rumpelstiltskin right now. You're weaving your paper into silver and gold. And okay, is there a risk? Nah. I mean, maybe they take it, but there's no risk that the price is going up. Absolutely none. You have no fear of that. And if you don't understand, it's because of the BRICS country. It's Russia, China. They're the reasons. You don't have to worry about it. So with that being said, don't worry about it. I mean, that's the simple explanation as you can get, is that's what's happening. So it's all no-brainers. Bobby's into all these different silvers. So buy the Maple Leafs, buy the Britannicans, buy the U.S., buy the Buffaloes, buy the Highland Mints. I can sell you a Bobby Orr one for – no, you want baseball. Who do I got baseball? I can sell you Ken Griffey Jr. I think I have I can sell you a Cal Ripken Jr., Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas. I can sell you one of those for $50. Those are worth more because of the players, but they're still an ounce of silver. It's incredible. So we may be down. Okay. She doesn't get my medals. She gets a nice dinner and her own personal Bobby Bo baseball bat experience. Well, she's going to want more than that when she wants to eat. But yes, I need more silver and some gold before and spread the wealth, because I don't have as much as I should, Professor, but we'll stack more as we. Well, in your case of that, and I know you're getting rid of your IRA, the answer is to buy the silver. And you can buy the silver at 28. I don't want to hear you can't afford 28 an ounce for silver. And then what will happen is, as silver goes, then you'll be able to take maybe 5-10 ounces of silver and buy gold with it. And that's how you're going to buy gold. You're going to use the silver to buy the gold, because the silver is going to be your only money, right? You're not going to have this anymore. So therefore, how do you buy gold? Well, you need assets. So you need your Rolex or you need your silver to buy the gold, and that's what you're going to use. So that's how you get more silver at this price. That's why everybody's buying silver, and you can just trade it right in for gold. You'll go to the store and see it's going to have a value, even if you don't go to the store. Gold's going to be worth $60,000 an ounce. Silver's it won't even be dollars. It'll let's call it 60,000, not dollars. And silver will be worth 10,000, not dollars. So you'll need 6 ounces of silver to buy an ounce of gold. So you're going to take the 6 ounces that you bought because you listened to the professor and you bought 20 ounces here and 20 ounces there. And then so let's say you buy 50 ounces. Oh, I need 6 ounces for an ounce of gold. Here's 6 ounces. Oh, you know what? Here's 12. Give me 2 ounces of gold. That's what you're going to do. And that's how you're going to get your gold. That's going to buy you a nice house and a nice car. And your girlfriend will love you for taking care of her. You'll give her 2 ounces of silver. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to be fun watching Bill Gates not have food. And these people that think they bought land is the out. Well, land is not the out. First of all, it's got to be location and it's got to be real estate that's you can use. It's got to have crops on it. You can't just have a piece of land and go, well, this is going to be worth something. Only if somebody wants it. If it's next to Caesar's Palace, somebody wants it. You put it in the middle of nowhere, fucking ain't going to have any value. You're not going to be able to sell it. Is it good for crops? Is it good? Maybe if it's in the middle of France, you can make champagne on it, or Italy with the rich soil. What are you going to do in fucking, I don't know, in Florida? Well, maybe you're there. What if you're in the middle of Georgia? You're fucked. There's nothing there but dirt. What are you going to do with the land there? Or Mississippi or Alabama? What are you going to do with the land there? God, Alabama sucks. You're going to do nothing. You won't be able to do anything with the land. So don't think land's the way out. Even a house, somebody's got to pay for it. How are they going to pay you for it? With an ounce of gold. I mean, that's the beauty of the ounce of gold, but that's what's going to happen. So you'll be buying cars with gold and silver and houses, food with silver, and then more gold with the silver. So basically the silver is the key. And buy as much as you can, and you better buy it by the end of the year. Hopefully it'll be around for a few months where it'll still be worth something. Well, it'll always be worth something, but hopefully it'll be affordable and findable. You're going to go look for silver. You're not going to find it, and you're not going to find it at this price. Yeah, there's a huge chance that I cash out something out of my 401k this week. Have you already done it and you're waiting for the money in the bank, or are you waiting to sell it? Don't get fucked where they're not going to give you your money. If that happens, you're screwed. So get the money, get your thing out of the stock into cash, and then set up your new account where it's going to at your bank now and get it out there. Yeah, like in the middle, laugh out loud, fucking Waco, Texas, where I got pulled over by a cop last month for going 15 miles over speed limit. And he repeatedly asked me, how did you end up here in country? And yeah, well, there you go. He's not typecasting you at all, Bobby. No stereotype, none at all. Well, I mean, that's the thing. You got to put up your own little thing, buy your guns, and you'll be protected. And what can I say? But you got to protect yourself. The money in your 401k is going to be worthless, right? So if you don't move it out, you're going to wave goodbye to it, right? So at least get some of it out, but you got to put it into cash. What I was told also is to go, if you do have stock, to get the certificate so you can prove you own 1,000 shares of Microsoft. At least then you'll be okay. If you don't, then if the mortgage house goes bankrupt, you're fine. I don't have any money. I bet that same cop doesn't have a clue about gold and silver. Probably not. Most people don't. Keep in mind, most people don't. And that's really the key to this whole thing. Most people don't get what I'm teaching you. And that's why I read you the Keynesian thing, because this is the way they think and this is what they're teaching. Oh, it's all the Austrians' fault. We had the Great Depression. No, it's FDR's fault. It was all the printing and the tariffs. And that's why we had the Depression. It had nothing to do with the Austrians. If it was up to the Austrians, we wouldn't have had a depression. We would have had it. We would have not had the Tariff Act. But that's the problem. So anyway, understand that. Keep that in your mind. That's the problem. You're trying to protect yourself. So you're not even spending any money, Bobby. You're just simply taking dollars and buying gold and silver, which is money with it. So you're exchanging a depreciated car for a new car, or depreciated dollar for new money. You're not spending a dime because you have money, right? It's not like you bought tennis shoes and you can't get it back. Yes, you gave 10 grand, you bought 10 grand worth of silver, let's say, or 10 grand of silver and gold. My buddy at work, he bought $100,000 worth of gold on my OK. He bought 55 ounces of gold, took 100 grand, cashier's check. I took him to my guy. He got 55 ounces of gold, and he's got it in his safe, and he sleeps pretty well at night. And that's the key, right? He's not all this shit. He's smiling. He knows what's going to happen. He knows he can't. Worst case, if he needs to sell an ounce back, he sells an ounce back. The problem is when the guys don't listen, they don't know, and you roll your eyes at him going, what the fuck? Why don't you listen? What is it? See, so you're listening to somebody else, not us. Oh, and that's the problem with it. They have it in their mind, gold's no good, and there's nothing you can do to tell them it is good. And that's the problem. So there's nothing you can do but just sit there and smile and go and just think about Eddie Murphy and go, I'll take one of those and one of those. And that's about all you can do is just get ready to travel and get a nice new house, the Ferrari or the Mercedes, and just you'll be fine. Just it's coming very, very soon to the theater near you. So I try to give you the reasons so you understand it. So we've talked master's class, we've talked investments, we've talked gold and silver. I don't know what else to talk about in economics, but that's what happens. So it is the dragon that causes all this, and it's unfortunate because I don't think people are mean on purpose. Like JP Morgan, I don't know what he's doing. He's the dragon, so I don't know what he's fucking doing, trying to steal from everybody, or George Soros trying to kill everybody because he's filling out the Nazi Third Reich thing. What the fuck are these guys' problems? But there's just strange people like that. You just, we got to defend ourselves from them. But outside of that, I think I just follow my lead, and I'm doing it. So it's not like I'm selling you on an idea that I don't have faith in, right? I show you my gold and my silver. I'll probably buy more tomorrow. So just keep that in mind, that's what's happening. And off we go. So keep that in mind. So if you have any questions, comments, let me know. Professor, I will play this video back once we are done so I can watch the first hour and get well, you missed a lot because I really covered a lot. The first hour was a lot off my notes, which were very helpful. The rest of it, the investment, the cards we've gone over enough, where if it's not this, it's this. If it's not that, it's gold and silver. that's really what you want. That's the whole key to it. This is an option from money. You can buy this. This will go up in value. When the shit hits the fan and the gold and silver go up, these are going to go up. The more demanded, the Maddles, the Bradys, the more of them will go up. Will the Randy Moss go up? Probably. But see, people won't have that much money to buy this stuff. People will get out of their money to buy gold and silver. It's will they want to get Barry Bonds and Randy Moss? That might not happen now, but it might happen later. That's why they're telling some people to keep your money so you can buy this shit dirt cheap. But we're not forced to sell. We don't need this. We don't need the money. So I'm not going to take $2 for this. Clearly a PSA 10 Barry Bonds. Therefore, I'm not giving it to you for $2. But the people that need the money are why you have cash, and that's what you have. And when you go into the coin store now, and these people are coming in with their gold and silver, and the coin guy's drooling, and I'm thinking, fuck, I need a way of getting them before they come in the store, because they're going to take the derivative prices. They're going to take the $30 for the silver. I could buy it from them for 20 or at the markup. So I got to figure out a way to do that. But anyway, that's what's happening. Hey, Greg and John, you're coming in at the end of class. Very good class today. I'm starving. I'm going to go eat. I might do more of these 2 videos than the one, just because this, is economics, gold, silver, or the other one, is football. And some people I lose in football where I start talking economics. Maybe they don't want to hear it, or maybe they just came out for the football. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is just go with the economics. What's your most valuable card? That's a good question. I got a 101 Steve Eiserman red label. I got a Joe Montana rookie. I got the Jerry Rice rookie, and I got the Mickey Mantle 68 his last year in pretty mint condition. I got some nice Willie Mays, Hank Aaron's. I got a real expensive Tom Brady rookie card that I got to get graded. That a 10 of this Bowman Chrome card, this rookie, is worth $20,000 PSA 10. I got the refractor in it. So that card's worth 20 grand, not the refractor. We can only imagine what the refractor PSA 10 is worth if the regular card is worth 20. I'm assuming 100. That might be the most. I don't know what the Eiserman 101 gets. I don't know that gets 100. And that's about it. Some other Brady rookies. I got a LeBron rookie, a Jordan second year, some 86 flares, but they're all worth nice, but not, I don't have the Jordan. I got the 87 Jordan in pretty mint condition. So I got a lot of good, strong cards that have it. I don't really know my most expensive. Probably the Brady or the Mantle, I would think, are the best. I'll show you those tomorrow. But again, these are assets. These I'm going to switch when the currency goes through the roof, or goes to shit, and gold and silver go through the roof. The cards will go through the roof, and we'll be good. So just be careful. If you sell your gold or your silver or your cards, you don't really want this piece of crap currency. You want the new currency. If you have to sell it, and let's say you have a nice Willie Mays card and it's worth 20 grand and you get 20 grand for it, don't hold the 20 grand too long. You might want to put 10 grand in gold and then play with the other 10 as your bills, but do not be very careful with it. All right. I'm a little confused. I got a call from the apartment when we were wrapping up the last show. I called her back. She hasn't called back, so I'm not going to worry about it. I always think if it's anything important, they would have left. I hate when they leave the message, right? They go, "Oh, hi, yeah, it's me. It's the professor. Call me back." Well, fucking tell me what you're calling for so I don't have to worry about what it is. And then you call them back and then they don't call you back. And you're like, well, what the fuck? You wanted me to call you back. I called you back. Why did you call me in the first place? So it gets a little frustrating. I know some guy came out and put a light that is always on or something in the night or something like that. I don't know. It's all I need is more to my electric bill when I'm in the house or at swim and I need the light on, like I need a hole in the head. All right, I'm going to go get some barbecue, I think. Sounds really fucking good right now. I think tomorrow I'll make spaghetti and I'll go buy like 3 pounds of hamburgers. I'll cook that up, put it in the spaghetti. But I don't have time right now with all that. Otherwise, have a nice day. Thank you for letting me educate you. www.teaserking.com. Again, 125 for all the bowls. I have posted some bowls and lock. I put up 1 lock so far. And if you want the rest of the season, $200 will buy you all the bowls and all the pros through the Super Bowl. And don't forget the avocado. I already had the avocado. That was last video. It's funny. I was nuking up some chicken today, and I forgot I put the avocado shell emptied in the thing. So I nuked it up and I take it out and my avocado got nuked, but it was empty, but the peel got nuked. So it was pretty funny. But anyway, that's about it. So I'll have to check injuries. So Kyler Murray, is he gone or is he just, I know he hurt his knee. I assume he's out for the rest of the year, but we'll see. You're welcome, Bobby. Yeah, you got to figure out why you're not seeing the thing when I click it. Like when I come on, you should be notified. So I don't know why you're not being notified. It's really strange. I don't know. Are you seeing that, Greg and John? Do you see when I'm on? Does it come up to you and say, "Hey, Professor's on"? Let me know. Otherwise, that's it. So time for dinner. All right, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Well, we did bowls. Tomorrow, I guess I can do some pros. And we'll finish up on another couple chapters of economics. We'll do the Ben Franklin stuff. Today, I think you'll find very fascinating, Bobby. I get into the early economics, the Romans and all that. And it was fascinating for me, and I've already had the class. So it's just good to know. And again, it's the dragon. So we can't do anything with the dragon. Smog. All we need is a little hobbit to run around. Okay. Have a great day. See you guys tomorrow. Again, www.teaserking.com. Get my email. If you need to talk to me, just email me. I will see that all the time. And I'm off to dinner. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a great day.